Hello, lovely people. Anybody?
Bueller.
Oh, audio's good. Okay.
Bueller. Everybody's good? We can hear you,
I
Volcano.
think I think everyone.
Thank you, Lordy.
Shh, don't jinx it.
There we go.
Okay,
There
I
we
think
go.
I fixed my double audio issue, so I think we should be good here. Someone in my chat can confirm that they're not hearing me twice.
Yeah, can somebody in my chat also confirm that? I think I just got my mic added to the scene. That was the one thing that was missing. But everybody looks like everybody's in the right spot.
Yeah.
Well, here.
Excellent.
What can we ask for? Guys, welcome in. It's good to see you. As usual, with the technical difficulties.
Yeah.
But we were trying to be too fancy, I think. We and Finite.
Yes. Yes.
We
Definitely.
paid the price. But welcome, guys. Thank you so much all for being here. You guys, again, I don't know, when was it? Like October, early November. I was like, oh, maybe we should do that again. And I figured people would be like, no, I'm too busy. I got other stuff to do. And everyone was like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm really glad everyone was excited to come back and do this again. The second annual Science Roundtable Chat and Secret Santa, I believe. Did everybody receive? Has everyone's Secret Santa arrived?
I think mine did not.
I got mine a couple days ago.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I got mine.
Nerd, did you get yours?
I did. Mine arrived a good while back. Yeah.
That's an early Santa right there. That's a good job.
That Santa was, yeah, he was quick.
Mhm.
Quick. So quick that I started to open it before I was like, oh, I want that. So I stopped myself. But the other thing I think is funny is I have a sneaking suspicion that several of us may have bought the same thing for the others, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. You can't put 5 scientists in a room, they wouldn't agree on anything, but you send them off to do something on their own and they all do the same thing. It's kind of funny.
I don't know about that one.
No? It just depends on the science, maybe. How's everyone's year been? Let's go. Well, why don't you go around? Let's go around. Maybe we should introduce ourselves for people in chat who don't know who we are. Why don't we start? I don't know. Finite. You're top left for me at least in the window. So why don't you start?
Okay, I'm Finite Singularity. I've got actually a PhD in structural engineering, in structural risk assessment, something I don't do at all anymore. But I spend my day job time developing OBS plugins. Do a lot of work for Elgato, developing plugins for them, and due to their open source nature, I'm able to stream it all. So we stream, 3 or 4 days a week, developing OBS plugins, doing a lot of shader stuff, doing a lot of, really fun sort of signal processing is what it all boils down to, and showing people how to code and how to do some of those things, and it's a blast.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, very cool. I always enjoy watching your streams.
Thank you.
Who's next? Science?
We actually just got a beastly raid from the lovely Lana Lux, game developer. Raiders, welcome in. I just wanted to do a big plug for the Science channel. We're doing a collab today with Finite Singularity, Nerduino, Paleontologizing, and Volcanodoc, chatting about the state of science. And they're all in the shared chat. You can click on their names and check them out. They are the leaders in the scientific field on Twitch. Go drop them each a follow. And Danny, right over there in that beautiful Christmas sweater, and this latest Twitch ambassador, that beautiful blue and purple check mark gradient. My goodness gracious. So guys, go check out all these incredible people. And Lana, for those who don't know, Lana is an incredible game dev on this channel. We had her on for our Women in STEM month last year, or still this year. God, the year has been going by quickly. Guys, welcome on in. I'm Balint. I'm 1/4 of the stream. The other 3/4 have been on the show today. Lita, Munchkin, Buster Brown. Lita and I have our doctorates in molecular biology from Dartmouth. We did our postdocs at UPenn, and we're now currently, due to the wonderful economy, full-time streamers, trying to bring science to everyone here on Twitch.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Danny, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, sure. I'm Paleontologizing is the username.
Sorry.
Danny Anduza is my government name. I work on dinosaurs mostly. I'm a paleontologist, so I dig up fossils. I publish on them in the scientific literature. Um, I go out and conduct field work live on stream. 11 weeks this year we spent in the field, and I streamed almost every day of that. So the whole point is to try and show people how fossil science really works. How do paleontologists conduct our research, and trying to, not just show people how it really is, but also help people develop a passion for natural history too. So I do this full time. I'm very lucky to be able to do that, and really excited for what this next year is going to bring too. And then now that the whole ambassador thing came through, so and I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Nerdarino, for putting this together.
And congratulations, by the
Yeah,
way.
congratulations. I was going to say,
Thank you.
Good work.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
Well, I mean, lots of thanks owed to Science Streams. Balint encouraged me to apply for the ambassador program, so appreciate you, Balint. Thank you.
Blame Balint. Hashtag.
That exclamation point merch in Nerdarino's channel. Apparently, there's a T-shirt like that.
Oh, that's true. There is, yeah. And Volcano Dog.
Cool. Well, hi, welcome everybody. I'm Volcano Doc, a real volcano scientist and professor. When I started streaming, I was a PhD student in volcano science, and now I'm a professor of volcano science. I'm a professor of mineralogy and petrology, so minerals and then rocks, how they form. And I stream on Sundays on Twitch. I stream about volcano science. Yes, the hottest stream on Twitch, a full 2400 Fahrenheit, or about 1150 C, which is the approximate temperature of molten basaltic lava. So you can stop on by, and sometimes I do real scientific research whenever I can. Sometimes, you have to be careful about doing real research on stream, and occasionally, whenever I can, do interviews, talk about volcano science and science in the news. Yeah.
Very cool. That's amazing. Are you worried about being stream sniped if you're doing real research on Twitch?
I'm a little bit, yeah. So right
Yeah,
now
yeah.
I'm working on a new volcano, and it's the first study of this kind at this volcano, so I'm a little bit worried about getting scooped.
Yeah, sure.
Understandable.
I guess that leaves me. So I'm Nerdarino. I have a PhD in astronomy from the University of Illinois. Go Illini. I worked at NASA for about 10 years after my PhD. I worked on a mission called Planck on the cosmic microwave background is what my area is, or was. I don't work there anymore. But yeah, so I spent about 10 years at NASA, and now I stream Tuesdays, Sundays, and Thursdays here on Twitch, and we talk about space and astronomy. We watch launches. Have an observatory in the backyard. We can do some astrophotography. Yeah, and we talk about science and the state of things. And yeah, that's me. So I think one of the things we were going to talk about, which maybe we should start with that, since my guess is that this may take a more somber turn later when we start talking about the state of science. Why don't we start with our favorite scientific discoveries of 2025 either in your field or in any field, whatever you thought was the coolest scientific discovery of the year. And we should just go the same order. We'll just start with finite. Yeah.
Sounds good to
Sure.
me.
I was thinking a lot about this, and there was one discovery that was pretty cool, and I figured you all would probably pick it. So I put it in my second tier, and that was the potential building blocks of life on Mars. But I think there was a bigger discovery in 2025, which somehow is a little bit related. However, it was discovered off the coast of Hawaii, and it is a new species of deep sea coral that ended up being named Iridogorgia chewbacca, because it looks like Chewbacca. And maybe we've also now discovered where Chewbacca originated from. So that I am going to go with the Chewbacca the Chewbacca defense.
Fair.
And so I want to announce everyone in my chat. I am having all sorts of audio issues here, so if you're not hearing anything, feel free to head on over to any of these fine streamers to hear You hear the other, just not me. Okay. Well, we'll try this. We'll see if that works. Let me know if that works, and we'll go from there. So I'll hand it over to whoever is next. I don't know how you're going to top Chewbacca Coral, but that is my discovery of the year.
Balint, you're up.
I'm just disappointed that Finite didn't make the Chewbacca noise. Right, I feel like if you're gonna make that,
I can't do the Chewbacca noise. That
I am gonna have to go really basic and anti-malarial antibodies development. So this was a unique type of treatment for malaria. It doesn't target the mosquitoes. It's meant to be preventative or treatment after you get the initial stages of malaria. These are antibodies. They are monoclonal, so they are raised specifically against the plasmodium that carries malaria. You inject it, it attacks those parasites. It tells your immune system that, hey, this thing is foreign and needs to be wiped out, and it really gets you primed, your body-wise, to wipe it out. So it could be a breakthrough, because during this intro that we had, I think the number is 300 kids died of malaria. Like, that's the death rate of malaria, is that during our conversation we'll have had that many children have died. And so to have some kind of breakthrough where you can actually increase the likelihood of survival is huge. This isn't, again, necessarily preventative, where it's going to be wiping out malaria in any way, but it might be a breakthrough treatment. And again, they're starting now the clinical trials, but in practice it works. It works in the mouse model. And I thought that was really, really cool.
That's extremely cool.
That
Nice.
is.
Yeah, hard to beat that. Shoot.
I know, right? Well, you're up, Danny. Now you have to top it.
Well, here, I guess I'll have to go get a visual aid maybe to help compete with that a tiny bit. Hang on just a second here.
Oh, it's props. I didn't know we were allowed props.
I already have a ton of theropods in the background, but here's another one. I kind of had to go with this. It's the obvious choice as a dinosaur paleontologist for this year, but this is a 3D print of a theropod dinosaur skull. It's been a really, really controversial since it was first found. It was named Nanotyrannus back in the late 1980s, and the debate has been, is this a juvenile Tyrannosaurus, or is it an adult of a different species entirely? And so this has been one of those controversies that's raged for decades at this point, and now it looks like we might finally have an answer, and it's not the one that I was expecting. So a new fossil and some study of this original specimen, which is in Cleveland, it's shown that the critter is an adult. Nanotyrannus is probably a real animal. All the evidence seems to be pointing toward that right now, and this is a hypothesis that I was never on board with. But that's the thing about science, is that sometimes we're wrong, and we should really celebrate that. Even when our pet hypotheses turn out to not be correct, we're still learning something new. We're still, discovering new things about the world around us. And that's the whole point of science. So I kind of have to highlight Nanotyrannus for my top discovery of the year. So there you go.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, Volcano Dog, you're up.
Oh, well, I gotta pull out Jezero Crater on Mars. I mean, that was just,
Nice.
that's just the coolest, most phenomenal paper. If you guys missed, Nerduino and I did a collab stream about the potential for potential biologic signature on Mars. And I know that most people in chat are probably more excited about, oh my gosh, there may have once been life on Mars, but from a scientific perspective, I urge you all to go read the paper because it's just so well written, and their argument is constructed so beautifully, where they present the null hypothesis that, there is no life on Mars. Let's just start at the baseline of there's no life. And then how can we explain these things that we've found without life? We're having some problems, so maybe we should consider the possibility that these might have been made from life. And to me, that was just such an elegant way to present the argument that I was so excited that I canceled lecture I canceled my planned lecture the next day, and then we went over that whole paper in my mineralogy class. So it was extra exciting to be a mineralogy professor when the news came out.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, that was fun. Thanks for that collab.
That
stream,
was
by the
so
way.
fun.
That
Thank
was
you,
good. Yeah, it
Nerdomino.
was good. Yeah, I know. I guess that leaves me. I'm gonna go. I just want to say, so on the T-shirt, I realized that you can only see the top 2 lines of the T-shirt. So I feel like maybe I should show the whole T-shirt so that everybody knows what it actually says. And it's a reference. It's an old reference to
Celebrity Jeopardy.
Celebrity Jeopardy. So if you can
Oh
only see the
no.
top, if you can only see the top 2 lines, that's
Uh,
The girls got it for me for my birthday, and they're like, "You can wear this on your holiday stream." I was like, "Okay, all right." So it's not my fault. Okay, it's not my fault. For me,
Mine's a little more wholesome. It's just tell your dog I said
oh,
hi.
oh.
I mean, so Danny, let's see what's on. What have you got going on?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a
so
Tyrannosaurus skull. I got this at the Natural History Museum in London. They have an animatronic T-Rex there, like 2/3 scale or something like that, and they put a different festive jumper on it every year, and then they sell it in the gift shop. So I
Are you
had to
sure
get
that's
one,
not the
how
full
fun.
size of the skull you just showed?
It's pretty close, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. Another Tyrannosaur too. Yep.
Yeah.
that's
Uh,
funny. Um,
and then Volcano Doc, do you have a holiday sweater as well?
No, mine has Smokey the Bear on it.
there you go.
It's
Okay.
it's a
Yeah.
sweatshirt because it's chilly.
Mm-hmm.
Is Smokey?
But
Is
you
he
could say
still
it's evergreen, I suppose. It's got
is he
Yeah.
still
flowers on it.
employed, or
Yeah.
No, but I'm wearing
we'll bring it
trees
back,
to
don't
remind
worry.
me of Washington.
Well, yeah. I'm gonna go. You probably could guess, but I'm gonna go with 3i Atlas for my discovery of 2025. So for those of you that don't know, this is an interstellar comet which was discovered. I think back in July, we made some observations, and then we've been following it ever since. It's we think maybe from like the bulge of the disk of the Milky Way, could be 7 billion years old, and it's just zipping through our solar system. It's going to be here for a few more months, and then it'll be gone. It's an incredible thing. It's only the third interstellar object that we know of. So Borisov was another comet, and Oumuamua was an asteroid, interstellar. And I mean, so that's like the scientific side of things is incredible. The cranks and the crackpots and the conspiracy theories have just been even better. Like it's just been like the cherry on top, right? My most viewed YouTube short was a 3i Atlas video, which is the most viewed by a factor of I don't even know, like 10. And
I saw that. Yeah, it popped up in my
just
feed. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
hundreds of comments of people just like it's an alien dreadnought and it's a spacecraft, and then we have Avi Loeb, a like tenured professor. He has a named chair at Harvard, and he's like, yeah, it's aliens for sure. It's just been just the science is incredible, and then the soap opera has just been perfect. So that for me is my sort of combo, I would say, of the year for sure. But the Jezero Crater thing was huge too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that video that is crazy. That just kept going and going and going.
What's your favorite? What's the absolute favorite? Completely out of pocket thing that you've heard about that you fully like, that just for chat's reference, this is absolutely not real, but what's your favorite not real thing that you've heard about it, Nerwino?
That it was, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was so many different wacky comments, but the my favorite theme is that there was the velocity was changing, and that could only be caused by thrusters. It must have engines because it was because of the way the kinematics of the motion, which was complete nonsense, and was the fact that the previously named person, who I'm not going to give additional press to, doesn't understand how comets work, basically, right? And as the comet starts to off gas, that off-gassing actually provides like an impulse in a different direction. So comets don't necessarily go in a completely straight path, and the whole thing. But yeah, that probably, like the fact that it had engines, that was pretty good.
I just can't. I don't know. It's just so weird that people would like. It actually is. I mean, it's a bit worrying, right? It's a bit worrying that people have this need to believe this stuff, and like they're so desperate for something like that to believe in. And I don't know what I can't understand. And this is a me thing. This is a me problem. But I can't understand what gap they're trying to fill in their in their life that they want aliens coming. Because if this really is an alien spaceship, we're like that's not good. Because they're so much more advanced than us. Like we're toast. We're probably just gonna be lunch, honestly. So, but I don't really understand what it is that people get from the whole conspiracy theory thing. And you know, I've read the papers and the reports and the kind of like the psychology of it, but I still don't. I don't know. I can't.
Well, it's a sense of belonging, right? You belong with a group of people with a shared thought. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be the aliens. It could be anything else that's driven by conspiracy theories.
And there's
Yeah, that's
there's
true.
that feeling of like having special knowledge that sets you aside and you know makes you feel special too. I think that's a big part of it as well.
I don't
Like
know. I
we're
think
otherized. Sorry, go ahead, Doc.
I was gonna say, for the record, I think being a scientist also fits right in with that. Like, you know, we are a group. We have a sense. I at least have a sense of belonging as a scientist, and I definitely think that we get a special knowledge to understand our universe. So, I think that's part of why I feel like, thankfully, at least with many things, I don't feel the need.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
true.
people in chat feel the same way.
I think the other thing is though, like as a scientist, right? As soon as I hear another scientist make a claim, and I hate to, I'm like, this is gonna make me sound like a bit of a, you know, a bit of a negative Nelly, but I'm immediately thinking about all the ways that what they're saying could be wrong, or like how could it be, like what are the weaknesses in the argument? I'm not trying to agree with them. I'm trying to find holes to make it not to pick holes in them or to like put them down, but to make it better, right? To make it stronger. Like what could be wrong with this theory? How can we make it better? I'm not like, oh, this person said this, so I'm just gonna believe what they're saying without questioning, which I think is like that's a whole like set of problems of its of its own. but
Got to be
but yeah, it's just
constructively skeptical.
yeah, exactly, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the idea even with some of the new papers that came out this year, right? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. You have to be a skeptic. Like we all dissect some of these science news stories where it's like the popular press says something, you're like, I don't think it actually says that. So that's not even attacking the theory and the hypothesis, right? That's just dissecting the base of what presented. And then afterwards, reading the paper itself, and yeah, you're going to find holes, but you just want to get the best kind of evidence that you can.
Yeah. Any big scandals in the world of paleontology this year, Danny? I mean, just pick one.
Well, I mean the Nanotarinus thing, like I mentioned, I wasn't rooting for that hypothesis personally, which is I guess why I wanted to share it today. And many people in chat are familiar with this too. Yeah, the biggest scandals right now are probably just like all of these commercial fossil auctions. So like a dinosaur specimen gets dug up on private land in the U.S. and then it goes up for auction, and there's a huge media brouhaha over that, and people get really excited, and we as paleontologists are just looking at that, going like, I wish we had $40 million to, run a field program or something. People are losing their jobs left and right. Funding is being cut, and these dinosaurs, which are oftentimes like mostly plaster of Paris or 3D printed parts and stuff, they gussy it up to sell it for more money. Yeah, it's a source of consternation in the vertebrate paleontology community for sure. And we've
So
got a
just
few more of these coming up right like in the next few weeks. So yeah.
just to put that into perspective, what kind of research, what kind of field program could you run for $40 million? Like how many people?
You could build a whole museum and give it an endowment in perpetuity for that much money. I mean,
Yeah.
you could find thousands upon thousands of dinosaurs over the next century with that amount of money instead of just, purchasing one at auction. And to be clear, like these usually don't end up in museums anyway when they get purchased. They end up on some wealthy person's mantelpiece or, whatever. Yeah. It's really aggravating to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to be such a bummer.
No. science, anything, any big scandals in bio? There's always scandals in biology. Give us what's the latest retraction that's been had to be
Well, actually,
published?
the fun one Lito was talking about yesterday. There was a study published in 2010 about arsenic being utilized as a substrate for life. It was this published in 2010. It was a big breakthrough. You know, NASA was even really all over it because, again, it's the possibility for other types of life, how they might be able to function. And it was retracted just a few months ago. And I think 11 authors, 11 of the 12 authors still stand by the paper and say like there's nothing wrong done, but there's a new editor in chief at Science, where the journal that published it, and that guy has an axe to grind, so he retracted it. So it's a controversy on multiple sides. There's not to suggest that it's actually any kind of falsified data. It's just an extraordinary claim that's maybe been difficult to replicate, but there's nothing to suggest there's wrong there. And then all of a sudden, the editors now got an axe to grind too. So the politicking in science is worse than ever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been the same, right? There's always been politics. Usually it's hidden. It's a little better hidden than on some other fields, but occasionally it spills over into the popular press. Did you see this?
I guess the other thing that chat's saying too is that direwolf has been a wonderful controversy, I guess, as well this year, of what defines a species. Have we brought back a species? Who owns the species that was brought back? If there's only 3 of them, does this animal have any rights and should be protected? And yeah, that went on a whole thing too.
I actually got to talk with some folks at SVP about this at the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology meeting, because I don't really know too much about Pleistocene mammals. That's outside of my wheelhouse. I'm a dinosaur guy. But I talked with some of the people who were actually on one of those papers with the Colossal folks, and these authors were like, yeah, that's 1,000,000% not a dire wolf. Dire wolves are not closely related to gray wolves. So even if they were able to, you know, move around some genes in the gray wolf genome in order to recreate a dire wolf, they're barking up the wrong tree. Like, dire wolves are on the opposite side of of the canid phylogeny there. It's kind of worse than we thought.
I think actually, so Danny, I didn't realize that
Yep.
you knew any of these authors and that was what they thought, but the fact that they put their name on it and gave it
Well-
credibility and still don't think that, like, that's a
Yeah,
big
it
old
was-
yikes.
It was kind of not really their fault, from what I understand. Like, we could talk about this in depth later. Sorry, we're getting another mammal walking across the screen here.
The landlord.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, it was. They were pretty frustrated with all of the press afterward, because these are papers early on. It was before all of this press hype. But yeah, it's a whole thing, and some of the researchers are pretty embarrassed about it. Yeah.
Did you see the glyphosate paper that got retracted as well recently? The Monsanto thing that said that glyphosate was completely safe as a weed killer. They just got retracted a couple of days ago.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Turns out might not be safe after all, perhaps.
Yeah.
You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked to know that Monsanto may have lied.
It's amazing the things that are just totally unpredictable when mass amounts of money are involved. I mean, who could ever see any of that coming?
Yeah, Chad, that's the
It's
article.
not like anything like that has ever happened in the past.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I mean, in my field, in computer science, I mean, we've obviously got all of the interesting research is buried by AI now, like AI,
Yeah.
and even the interesting research being done into AI doesn't get any coverage because it's whatever pieces of AI frankly the 6 or 8 tech billionaires think is going to make them the most money is what gets all of the attention. And it's such a shame because it's things that are being way oversold, and no one at this point even seems to want it. And there's some really good quality research going on in things that would be very helpful in terms of AI, and none of it ever sees the light of day. And it's incredibly frustrating. I kind of feel like, I mean, computer science has always been one of those things that's been very closely tied to, sort of profit centers and things like this.
Sure.
But
Industry and
feels
military
like,
stuff too,
but it feels like it has in the last 3-4 years really accelerated to the point that it's almost like it's a captured science at this point. And what do you do with that?
Well, I can tell you from a researcher's perspective, higher ups at the university level are pushing us to use it in our research. And for my field, that's not necessarily the best thing, at least in my opinion. I don't care to use, I think that it has its uses, and I think that machine learning is a fantastic, wonderful development. I'm all in favor of machine learning, but just if you were in chat and you didn't know that, researchers, we're getting very pushed and leveraged to try to, incorporate it into our research. So that's
well, it's been sold as this silver bullet that's just going to solve all of mankind's problems, and it just isn't. It just isn't. Maybe it will be someday. I have my doubts on that, but we're not there, and it's again, there's so many good uses for it, but all of those things are being overlooked and pushed to the side, and it's whatever is the biggest profit center that is being pushed and sold, and that gets frustrating.
Well, that's being pushed in the funding situation too. So for those who don't know, there's to get scientific funding, at least in biology, they have come out and said for the NIH, the goal is to get rid of wet lab research, that you do not have to do any hands-on work with cells, animals, whatever, that enough would be on the computer. Because imagine how much cheaper it's going to be, right? That can't, I rally on this all the time, is that you can't do, it's a great tool to search for something, but it is not good enough in any way to confirm it. I wouldn't want to take a drug that was confirmed on a computer and not in an organism for the dosage, right? Just not even what it does, but just the dose of it, right? And what's safe.
Oh my God, dude, I do modeling, and that is absolutely the worst plan ever.
Yeah, but think how much we'll save. To give folks an idea, one mouse to keep alive a day, the average cost is $70 in a research facility. The average cost for one mouse is $70. That's not experimental. That's not controlled. That is your one mouse. So it would be great if you could model everything on a computer, right? You just can't do it.
Well, and also, so what you can model on a computer has limitations. There's always limitations to a model. A model will never, ever, ever be able to substitute for an experiment, period. And the models that we create are calibrated based off of real-life experiments. So the real-life experiments can't stop, or the model development must stop.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what you're also seeing with AI in general with these LLMs, is it's now the snake eating its tail, and it's regurgitating its own regurgitations from 5 years ago. And it's like, people say my position as a programmer is going to get replaced someday, and it's like, no, actually, I'm pretty sure that in 5 years, those of us who know how to program are going to be brought in to fix all the crap that we've messed up in the past, decade. And
the analogy that I've heard is that it's almost like asbestos, where it's like it's being used for a while, just put into everything, and it's going to be tremendously expensive later to remove it when it becomes obvious just how detrimental it is.
Yeah,
it's actually a very good. That's a very good analogy.
Fantastic analogy.
Dr. Nerd is actually having the same thing, and this is another aspect of this. So these AI companies are trying to push, I presume physicians also, but veterinarians, to get these AI assistants, right? That it'll basically do all the grunt work. It'll take notes. It'll be like a note taker. It'll do diagnoses and all this other stuff. And her first question was, okay, so who's liable when this thing gets it wrong? Or when you publish a scientific paper based on this AI that is wrong, are you the one that's going to look foolish, or is the AI the one who's going to look foolish? Or potentially worse, right? Like in her case, or a medical professional end up in court, and you're like, oh, I trusted the AI. They told me it was going to work. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
My favorite
old phrase from, I think it was somebody in in the leadership of IBM back in the day, but it was, a computer should never be allowed to make management decisions because a computer can never be held responsible for the consequences of those decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
think my favorite this year was I was reviewing a paper, and there was, for those who don't know, when we're writing a paper, if there is a statement that's already been proven, you put in a reference, right? There's a sentence, this is referenced this place. I saw a statement, I was like, this looks weird. So I look at the reference, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm not familiar with this. This is pretty revolutionary. It didn't exist. The AI had made up the reference, and that's pretty commonplace now, unfortunately. So that you're not gonna, like, a reviewer is not gonna catch that unless they're like, huh, that's interesting, right? Because why would you check each and every reference?
Yeah.
That's how pervasive it is. Now, can you imagine the next person who reads that statement and they don't go look for it, and they're like, oh, well, I can cite this paper that already cited it, and then you get just fake papers being cited. So like that's even worse than the asbestos in the walls. That's like the foundational stone.
I'd point out too that, when you're asked to review a paper, for those in chat who've never been asked to do this before, you may not be entirely an expert on the topic you're being asked to review. You might be tangentially an expert or an expert on one small bit of it. And so in that case, it might be pretty easy to mistake those hallucinated references or those faked references.
And
especially once the AI figures out to use the names of well-known people in the field instead of just making names up. It starts, and then you're like, I don't know whether the third paper by Smith et al. Of 2025 was the one that. Am I going to go look?
Right.
Yes.
Even
to a certain
more
extent.
fun. There was someone in the chat mentioning about AI reviewing papers. That actually debuted this year. There was a researcher, we actually had him on the show. I think he's probably going to win a Nobel Prize one day. Like, the guy is brilliant. He studied the genetics of the Dead Sea Scrolls. He studies inheritance of behavior and memory over at Tel Aviv University. Very brilliant guy. And they spent 10 years developing an AI program that is meant to review papers. And the idea is that it reviews the paper, you do the edits, and you submit that review along with your new paper to the journal, and to bypass the human nature of a reviewer. So you can, there's a lot to dissect there, right? But that's where other human elements normally are being removed.
I disagree with a lot to dissect. That's what you nuke from orbit. There is no dissection. You just nuke that idea and you forget that it ever happened.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so much of what we do is based on trust in science. Like, it sounds weird to say it, but we're trusting that to a certain extent, the sources that people cite are real. Like, we don't have the time to go through every single last citation when we're reviewing a paper or even just looking at the references or something. And so if even 1% of the time those references are hallucinated, it's a major problem. I was reading an article about, it was written by a reference librarian, and they were talking about how, like, through interlibrary alone, it's something like 20 or 30% of the different ILL requests that they get nowadays are for sources that don't exist. And so it's a huge time sink just trying to track these things down and then realizing, oh, this is something that an LLM spat out, and it's not real. It's just wasting everyone's time,
That's infuriating.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say I would love it if I wouldn't mind doing a first pass where it does all the typos and formatting and auto citation. That would be fantastic. I would use that in a heartbeat. But leave the actual reviewing to a real person.
Yeah, agreed.
And a question from chat was like, what's the benefit of citing other people's work?
Oh.
Citing other people's work means you don't have to redo that experiment or that foundational step, right? If you believe that this paper that you're citing is real, that's your foundation. Like, here's this experiment baseline that's been reviewed, public acceptance of it. So it's very important to cite other papers, because you're basically, when you're writing a paper, you're building a house. The foundation or the intro are the things that are cited and that you've built out. And then on top of that, you're building your new house. So it's very, very important to do that. The nice part about I will point out for the AI reviewer, is you will not get the reviewer comment that says you missed these really important papers to cite, and it's all by one guy, and then you know who your mystery reviewer is because they're very sensitive. Yeah. Which, yes, Lita and I have had. But that would be
that happened. One part.
They say, you should really add a co-author to this paper, and they mean them. Yeah.
God, it was like 10 papers that they're like, these are really important to sign. Like, dude, you are the last author on all 10 of these. I know who you are now. You're not anonymous.
But I think it might be worth.
That was
It
the
might-
argument, though, right? To also push this, because a lot of times, if you're a reviewer, unlike if you're me, no one signs the reviews, because then when that person reviews you, they're gonna reciprocate if they feel bad or if any animosity that you gave them work to do, right? You got a target on your back, and then you're gonna get nuked just because you were trying to get a good science paper out there, right? So it's really difficult. Like it's like Danny said, it's important to have people in it, but the people
Mhm.
also make it bad. So it's like where do you
Sometimes,
balance
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so all I was going to say was I think it maybe for people in chat who aren't familiar, like it's worth saying that if you had to redo all of the work that's come before you every time you wanted to do an experiment, we would never make any progress in science, right? So the whole
Right.
scientific endeavor is we're basically just building on the shoulders of all the people that came before us and trying to, I mean, for me at least, even just create this tiny little thing somewhere, right? That it's such a huge endeavor, and you kind of feel like you can't make an impact, but you're just trying to make a little step somewhere that maybe someone else can get a toehold in, and just reach a little bit higher than you did. And the citation process is kind of the way of doing that, and that's why the review process is so important, because the review process makes sure that those papers are kind of like, you know, um, done properly, the research was done properly, that they're reliable, because everyone else is going to base what they do on that stuff. And so the citation thing is critical, and having a good review process is critical for just making progress in any kind of science. That's kind of how it works. So yeah, and of course there's always politics. I mean, we had people competitors, and they didn't even hide it. We knew who they were, and they were just like, yeah, screw you guys, we're not gonna approve this for publication. Like, okay.
And to pull back the curtain a little bit, because we get this question a fair bit, a reviewer doesn't repeat any of the experiments, right? They don't actually do any of that work in their lab. They spend time, they volunteer their time to read your paper critically and give thoughts on if it holds water as a logical argument,
Right.
right? They do not have the time or money to do any of your experiments, which I know
Right.
we've had folks be like, that's crazy. How do you know? You have to have a high level of trust, and then you just have to, accept what you're seeing and see if it passes your logical rigor.
And that's also not as a reviewer. That's not necessarily your job either, right? The repeating is the job. You publish it, and then other scientists read it, and they're like, "That doesn't either." Oh yeah, that seems right. Or no, I'm going to redo that myself, and it's up to other scientists to kind of come in and then repeat results. And it's not necessarily like even when a paper gets retracted, I don't think the reviewer necessarily catches any strays, because they're just like, well, you read it and you corrected the grammar and you made some suggestions, but you weren't really responsible for the content as such, right?
I see Smikes just said, like a code reviewer, the reviewer doesn't actually try to run the code, and I would argue it's very different. It's like a code review where the reviewer didn't build the code, which obviously they didn't, right? So, you read through, when you're reviewing a paper, you read through. A lot of times you will go through some of the math and the arguments and put them together and make sure that those pieces fit together, which for me is similar to running the code, but they're not building that code, which is the experimentation, all the knowledge that went into producing that paper. So I think there is a little bit of a nuanced difference there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Wow, that was a deep rabbit hole. I don't remember, how do we get in there? AI.
I said AI.
Hot
I
topics.
knew as
Yeah.
soon as the words came out of my mouth, I was like,
Oh,
oh wait,
boy.
now we're gonna be on this for a while.
Well, maybe we won't be here next year. Maybe we'll just all be replaced next year with
Yeah, our
Yeah,
AI
fine.
avatars will be discussing.
now the lords of AI are Time Magazine's People of the Year.
I don't know. Danny
I've
and
got more
I are
faith in chat
safe.
than that.
I feel like
Well,
Danny
yeah,
and
I
I
mean-
are pretty safe. Until those robots can go dig up stuff, we're all right.
Wow, I like that.
But remember,
Wow,
you don't
so
need to
we're
dig anything up
replaceable.
anymore. You just build it on a computer.
No,
I've
none
got
of
more
us,
faith
none
in-
of you are replaceable. I'm just jesting.
No.
It's
I mean,
basically
chat
just
would
gonna
not
be
put up
Minecraft.
with that. Like everybody in chat right now, they demand a high quality of science content
Yes.
here, and I'm grateful
Yeah.
for that.
Absolutely.
Like we're not going to be replaced anytime soon by some algorithm or something.
Well, that's what must be nice about being a science related. My viewers are just cheering for me to completely fail in my coding, because that's what makes it fun on stream. They like to see the frustration.
Yeah.
Hopefully more so they like to see the success at the end when we finally get it, and then I start dancing in my chair and then turn off the stream and
It's the adventure finite. It's the adventure,
it-
right?
it
At the end of the
is,
day,
it
the
is.
hero still prevails, but can't be easy, you know.
Yeah, you're doing the Lord's work over there, making plugins for us all to use on our streams.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Do you guys want to? So we're an hour in theory. Do you guys want to grab a quick drink or something, stretch your legs, or you want to just carry on? Or
I'm gonna drink right here. Yeah. All good.
Yeah. If you need to go get something,
I could do
Nerdwheel,
either.
feel
no, I'm
free.
good. I got my tea right here. I got my disaster mug, whatever it is. Yeah.
You'll like this one, the
The NASA.
NASA Yeti.
Very nice. Is that the second
Nice.
one? Look.
Yeah, that's the one that wasn't stolen from me on our vacation.
Oh, no.
Someone stole my
Calamity
Yeti. It like disappeared. We went on a cruise actually, and I went to go to the bathroom. And I came back and it was gone. And then when we got back to the port, it was Cape Canaveral, and Mrs. Singularity was like, "We are going back to Cape Canaveral, and you are getting a new one because you loved that thing." So she demanded that we get off the ship early to drive to go pick another one up, and
Aw.
Nice.
she's awesome.
Yeah.
She's
She's a
absolutely
keeper, yeah,
awesome.
for sure.
So,
Glad you got it, but that's a gutsy move, stealing a NASA.
I know,
mug like
I
that.
know, I'm
That's a
like-
federal crime. It's a federal agency, right?
yeah,
Federal
something like
property.
I bet it's a pretty out of this world Yeti, though.
Oh,
Oh,
It
my
is, it is.
goodness.
okay, make it
Absolutely.
Stop. Where's it going? I don't know. Where's? All right, that was AI. We did AI, or did we do AI? I guess we did. Any big? So I guess big disappointments in space this year. I would say the Starship. Starship was is behind schedule and not really showing signs, which is now affecting our ability to get back to the moon. Which I actually think is worth. So the Mars thing, for me personally, I'm not really sure I see the path forward there in any reasonable amount of time to like colonize. Like, yeah, let's go, let's have a look. But colonization of Mars, I think, is in the future. But the moon, I think we could get back to pretty easily, and we could do a ton of really cool science. We could learn a lot. We could go to the lunar far side, and we could set up radio telescopes and things away from the Earth. And it's been a bit disappointing that they've been having so much trouble with Starship, and that is integral to their plans for Artemis 3 and 4. So I would say that's been a bit of a disappointment. It's not a scandal as such, but it's the more recent test flights have been much better, but they still, I suspect they aren't going to be able to carry as much cargo as they thought they were. Again, surprisingly, I mean, billionaires claiming huge things that they can't deliver on, but that
What have we
Are
ever
there
seen
any-
after that? Yeah.
Are there any experiments, Nerd, that you'd be really looking forward to if there was something done on the moon or even like above orbit on the space station? Like, what kind of experiments in space are done that are worthwhile and interesting in your eyes? Like, we have some in biology, but just for you, like, what is it that would excite you about going back?
Well, like they just announced the two science experiments for Artemis 4 when it finally goes. It's scheduled for December of 2028. I suspect it'll be at least a year after that. But there's a dust experiment. So lunar dust is extremely abrasive, gets everywhere. It sticks to everything, right? It's like electrostatically charged. It's a nightmare. And we don't have, and not to mention, it gets into lungs and affects astronaut health. So that is going to be a really cool experiment. They're going to test the dust, learn about the properties, see what we can do about mitigating it. How do you stop it from getting into like a habitat when it comes in, if you go through the airlock, all that stuff. I think that's really cool. That's really useful, right? Because we have dusty environments on the Earth as well, where that technology would be applicable. Also, plus you're going to have those problems on just about any planet. You go to Mars, you're going to have the same thing, So I think that would be really cool. They're doing seismology on the moon as well. The other experiment they picked was a seismograph that they're going to put around the landing site. It's going to be able to detect meteorites hitting the moon like far away, and then they're actually doing these things. So they're going to have thumpers, I guess, much like the thumpers in Dune, and they're going to put those in around the landing site, and they're going to make seismic maps of the landing area as well, which is going to be South Pole Aitken Basin. So yeah, there's a couple of, and that kind of stuff. And obviously there's a ton of biology. There's a lot of companies interested in doing developing medicines and things in space, in the environment of space and zero gravity. I think there's just a ton of really cool stuff. But in terms of like actually on the moon, those are the two they've picked, and those are going to be cool. And I'm sure the astronauts will have a bunch of other handheld carried things that they take. But that one, the dust thing, I think is a rover, and the seismograph I think is attached to the lander. I can't remember. But yeah, those and I think those seem cool to me. Like, sure, let's do it. And I think radio astronomy from the far side will be interesting. So I actually worked on a proposal when I was at NASA for a far side, meaning the opposite side to the Earth, right? Because the moon is, for those of you that don't know, the moon is tidally locked to Earth. So when we talk about the far side of the moon, it's actually the same side always faces towards us, and the same side faces away to us from us. And the side that faces away from us is shielded from the Earth. So it's a cool place to try and do some radio astronomy, maybe, because you get away from all the interference. And we had a proposal for that, and there's now many different proposals for putting an antenna somewhere on the backside of the moon and doing some radio astronomy. I think that'd be really cool. Or they're talking about using the craters as the dish, and like putting a mesh inside the crater. It'd be pretty cool. Ours was a lot more simple. Ours was 2 little mylar tubes with air canisters that rolled out into a little dipole for like $85 million.
Steal. That's a bargain.
Just 2 dinosaurs dug up, right?
Yeah.
It's probably more than has been spent in the history of vertebrate paleontology for the past, I don't know, 10 years or something. Yeah.
I think that, Danny, if the other, like the cross community viewers don't know, I think that's a really important thing to highlight too, that you've always told us, and it blows me out of the water every time you tell me like how much a dig site costs, or like to make it advancements in your field, what a budget is that you would be like, we can get stuff done, versus what it is in biology versus like we know space science, right? It's
just 85 million,
Like what? Like if you had, again, like what if for your field season for workers to dig up dinosaurs and for you to be satisfied, like dream amount of money, what would you want?
Well, a reasonable amount would be, so I've got, by way of example, I've got some friends at the Badlands Dinosaur Museum in North Dakota. They go across the border to Montana every year, spend 3 months in the field with 2 different crews, a total of maybe like, I don't know, I'm guessing 60 people over the course of the summer. Out there 3 months. They're digging 6 days a week at least. Their budget is $20,000 per year. 3 months of field work, dozens of people, and that's for food, fuel, supplies, everything that they need.
Does that include their salaries, though?
There are no salaries because it's all volunteer work.
So the whole 3 months, they're not getting paid. They're only paid 9 months out of the year, like me.
Well, I think the curator and the lab manager, they're both getting paid on the city salary because it's a municipal museum. So they're getting paid, but everybody else is a volunteer.
Okay.
Yeah. But these people, the 2 people I mentioned who are getting paid, they've done years and years of volunteer labor on field crews before, so they feel very lucky to be paid for that time, But yeah, I've been on field crews where it's been like $900 for 2 months of field work, and that's food and fuel and digging supplies and everything. It's shoestring budgets half the time. Our community here on Paleontologizing, we've funded 2 different field seasons just with donations from chat, which is kind of crazy. I realize that that's not easy to do in a lot of other scientific fields, but paleontology, you get a lot of bang for your buck, for sure.
So like your breakthrough study, Danny, like with the Nanotyrannus this year, how much do you think that cost?
Oh, that's a special case because that was a specimen that was actually purchased from a private party, and so like some wealthy donors got involved and bought that specimen for the museum in North Carolina.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, that is really awesome. And not only did they pay for the specimen, they also paid for like a whole new prep lab to be built to prepare the fossil. They paid for some postdocs to study it. they got a really good gig. North Carolina is doing some amazing stuff.
That's wonderful.
They've got some excellent support. But contrast that with this, the Cleveland skull. There was a second study on Nanotyrannus where they found a bone on the inside, the hyoid bone, which is like one of the bones in the throat. And they were able to actually cut that and count the growth rings on the inside and determine that the animal was an adult. I don't know how much they spent on that, but it was maybe like a few $1,000 or something, I'm guessing. And that's pretty groundbreaking work and didn't cost all that much, you know? Yeah, and when that specimen was first discovered, I think in 1940, I don't know if they had much of a budget at all when they collected it. So yeah, it can kind of run the gamut, but for the most part, paleontology tends to be pretty inexpensive compared to a lot of other fields.
Yeah, obviously space is the opposite. I will say a lot of the costs for that particular mission were the launch costs, right? But that is coming down. That's one thing, you know, with like SpaceX and all these other companies. Commercial launch is bringing launch costs down significantly. So we've talked on chat for a long time about trying to do a Twitch CubeSat, and NASA will launch a CubeSat for you. They'll actually pay the launch costs, but if you don't make the launch, you have to pay them back what it would have cost, and it's about $50,000. So it's not a huge amount of money to get a satellite into orbit.
Wow.
And then you can build a satellite for, it depends what you put in it, but you know, you could conceivably build a CubeSat for a couple of tens of thousands of dollars or something. Test it, do everything. So
very cool.
So yeah, you can. There are cheap ways of doing it, but yeah, like going to the moon is just not cheap. It's just no way around it.
I'm glad I don't have to do field work on the moon. You know.
Well, not yet, anyway.
We'll see if there's any reports of dinosaur fossils after these upcoming missions.
You never know. You never know. When they put out those pounders, maybe those worms will show up too. You never know. I mean,
Spice.
Yeah.
Spice.
Yeah, I'm also not. I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying that lower cost science is better for everybody, because it's not. I wish that we had bigger budgets in paleontology. I wish that we had the wherewithal to do bigger things and spend more money, because that's the thing about scientific funding, is that it helps drive the economy. Like, all the money that a government spends on science gets recycled. Like, it's a multiplier, where like every dollar that the US spends on science funding gets multiplied by what, 2 or 3 times at least, something like that. So I don't know. I will say
that there's things even in paleontology that do cost a heck of a lot of money. I mean, like you, I was able to fund we went out to the field. We had to go back a second time because we got snowed out, and there were 3 of us. So for like a week and a half total, but that included flying and everything, and that was like $4,000. So that's for the field season, $4,000. We had to go cross country twice, to get isotopic analyses for 7 of the 40 samples. We collected 40 samples. To analyze 7 of them is $4,200.
Yeah.
So
it's sometimes more expensive than that too.
Yeah, somebody in chat was asking about the cost for sample prep and said how it costs so much more. So I just wanted to make that point that our field works are cheap. The cost for Danny's field work is cheap, but everything afterwards, all of the analyses, the sample prep, even like oxygen isotopes of bones to try to reconstruct where animals have migrated and things like that. That's a thing that costs a bunch of money. So even the cheapest science can get really pricey really quick.
Certainly,
maybe not space quick, but
Well, I will say that we do a lot of astronomy that's on the ground and a lot cheaper than that, right? So we do a lot of observing it. Like if someone's going to go to an observatory and observe for a few nights, that's similar, like a few thousand. I mean, I used to go to San Diego. There's an observatory there in grad school, and we would spend $1,000 or something for the whole trip. So there's definitely less expensive astronomy as well. And people do astronomy from their backyard,
even look at things like space telescopes, and over time, over the 20 years that the Hubble's been up, your cost per image keeps going down and down and down. I mean, obviously there's the upkeep costs and everything, but these are long-term, structural investments as well to keep generating science. And yeah, the price tag initially is mind-boggling, but look how much comes out of it over such a long period of time. And I think that often gets forgotten about as well. People look at the immediate here and now, and unfortunately, we're in a culture where it's all about the here and now. There isn't the patience
the
and
next quarter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think every dollar that is spent, every dollar that goes into NASA, like every tax dollar that goes into NASA, generates $10 in economic
Yeah.
activity. And
There you
so,
go.
like,
Yeah.
it's just it's such
I love
a
that.
it's such a fault, like it's such a short-term way of thinking about it. Like, oh, we're gonna save, yeah, you'll save how many million, right? Save 5 billion now, but that's 50 billion that wasn't spent over the next year in the wider economy. So, I
Right.
don't know. That's crazy. That doesn't make any sense
Yeah.
to me. But that's just me. I mean, the whole funding situation. Well, we could get into that if you want. I don't know if anybody really wants to depress themselves.
Not right now.
I know science has been on the very sharp end of the funding problem. So
Yeah, it's a real prick of an issue. Oh, because it's sharp end. Haha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
No, I didn't realize it was $10 for NASA. I know for NIH, the National Institute of Health, every dollar that goes in is $2.50 that comes out for US. And that's again things that you're not even necessarily going to predict, right? It's like studying green fluorescent protein in a jellyfish 25 years ago. Who would have known that that's a revolutionary technique that every single molecular biology study now uses as a cornerstone of the data, right? At the time, you could have dated that guy's that way. Like, how's a jellyfish gonna help a people? Get out of here. But like looking ahead and just studying something because you're curious and you want to know how it works can inform you in the future in ways that we'll never have known. And that's unfortunate that that really isn't the mindset right now. Like Finite and Nerduino are saying, it's the here and now. It's not planning or just even studying for the sake of discovery. Like that beauty seems to be gone in terms of funding.
Right.
Yeah, I was reading. There was an article I read the other day about Bell Labs, and when Bell Labs was just like a huge brain trust basically, and there was no pressure on them they were just allowed to pretty much work on whatever they wanted, and the number of
Oh,
discoveries
jealous.
that came out that have changed the world from that lab in like this 5 or 10 years or whatever it was that they were allowed just to play, like it's huge, and yeah, it seems like you're just wasting money, and it seems like they're sitting around reading magazines and not doing anything, but you know. I think there's like I would be sat in my office at JPL sometimes, and one of the managers would come by. Like we had a couple of military guys, like the deputy director of the lab was a general, I think, and he just didn't get it. You'd be sitting at your desk reading like I'd just be reading a paper, and okay, yeah, it looks like I'm just sitting there reading. That's kind of my job, but like that wasn't productive, that wasn't like, well, what are you doing? You're not doing anything, you're just sitting there, like, yeah.
How does he think that you learn about what's going on in your field? Like it just gets beamed directly into your skull or something? You have to
guess
read about it.
Should have been a PT or whatever, I don't know.
Well, or even like,
Yeah.
right, you can break down that financially too. If you're not reading it and you're not aware of the data in the field, you're just going to be repeating it and then wasting money.
Exactly.
Right. So
Yeah.
you can frame it in like the very monetary way, but honestly, like, you can't form the best ideas you can unless you know the current state of what's happening, how things are being done, the latest techniques. Like there's a new technique that was published this week that was developed in plants to be able to degrade or activate a protein in a different organism that's not a plant, right? But the mechanism is derived from plants using small molecules, and it lasts a lifetime. So it's not like once you degrade it, it's gone forever. You can reactivate it at any point. Like that's going to be a game changer, but someone had to study plants for that, and someone had to read about decades worth of work to figure that out. So, yeah, it's important to read.
Yep. Well, that's the thing too about scientific discovery. Like we all know, you never know what you're going to find, and when we're working at the very frontier of human knowledge, you don't know what's out there. You never know what you're going to encounter. You never know what's going to turn out to be phenomenally important a decade into the future. We just don't know what we don't know. That's the whole business of science, is figuring this stuff out. And sometimes it's going to look a little bit silly to outsiders, but that's just how it works. We're on the very frontier of human understanding. You
Yeah,
know,
we're
it's all
literally-
unknowns from here.
Literally, we create new knowledge. It's hard.
Yeah,
Otherwise, everybody
it's
would
not
do
easy.
it.
Do you think we could do a better job of marketing that side of things to people than we do? Like
Yes.
science.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I was just going to bring that up in terms of, you know, we're all science communicators, right? And there's been a lot that's gone on where science communication has led to huge misunderstandings and flat out misinformation. And obviously, you're always going to have parties involved with communication that are going to want to misrepresent things. But it seems to me that sometimes with how scientists, as scientists we communicate, we are ripe for that. And you know, it begs the question, how much of a responsibility is there on the scientific community to adapt how we communicate things with all of the new forms of communication, with an understanding of the myriad of ways that things can be misrepresented and turned into misinformation. And it seems to me, at least from my experience and the folks that I've been around in the scientific community, people are like, well, this is the way I've written papers for 20 years. I'm not changing how I do. And it's like, is there some responsibility there where we need to kind of fight fire with fire a bit? I'm throwing that question out. I'm not an active scientist right now, so I don't have necessarily the answer for that. But what are thoughts on that? I'm fascinated in thoughts.
I think one important thing is you have to define to you what is a science communicator, right? That's your fundamental thing. It cannot be a jabroni who likes to read about science on press releases, right?
Exactly.
Like, I think of someone who's an expert, and that's step one, right? That is not a border. That is not a filter. You do not have to be accredited in any way to be a good communicator, but that's like a filter, right? For just to me, how do I know that you know what you're talking about, right? Whether that be a degree, whether that be field work with the hands-on experience, right? Show me that you know what you're talking about in some way, right? That's step one. And then step two is, how do you conduct that communication? Do you tell me what to think and feel? Or do you give me the tools to dissect and make my own decisions? And that, I think, is the really difficult part where the controversy comes in, right? Where there's science communicators who tell you what to think, right? Don't worry about this. That's a common one I've heard, where I ask a question from someone and they don't worry about it. Well, how do you know what I want to worry about, right? I would like, right, yeah. Like, I would like to know, you know, give me the tool to decide if it's important or not. Right. And because I always think at the end of the day, if you don't agree with what Lita and I dissect the papers on, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you are coming to that conclusion because you're dissecting it, that means we've done our job.
Yep.
Right. That is to give you the tools to dissect things and to make your own decisions, not to tell you what to think and feel. And I know my old professor, when I was a postdoc, hated that because she always said the public is too stupid to understand. And it's like, no, you're just not good at explaining things. Right? Try different ways and that's honestly why there was mistrust in COVID. And then you had science communicators who said, don't take this because it's a government scam, or this will get, you know, nanites in you and they'll be tracking you or whatever, because the scientists were like, well, you're an idiot. I wouldn't trust them either then. Right. And so building that trust, like, I feel like all of us are constantly undoing what some people are doing and trying to build that trust constantly at one point where there's this grading away of that trust. And so it's, you know, authority, experience, and then how you present, like what your mission actually is in it.
One thing that was really interesting that I noticed, and granted, this is going back 20 years when I was an undergrad, but I was in an engineering program, right? Specifically a structural engineering program where we're designing buildings that if they fall down, we got a big problem, right? And every engineer at the school I was at had to take 3 different engineering communication classes. And none of my friends that were in hard sciences had to take any sort of scientific communication class. Right. And, you know, engineering was more tied to, at the time at least, more tied to, you know, having to secure funding to actually build this structure. So you need to communicate to regulators why it's safe. You need to communicate to the public that they're okay to go into this structure. And so it felt like on that frontier of engineering, there was a lot more emphasis on having the skills to communicate very complex engineering issues in a way that people who hadn't studied engineering could get a deep enough understanding to not be an expert in it and not fully understand it, but to have the idea of what's going on. And I wonder if more of that wouldn't be good for the hard sciences now that we're having all these issues with this lack of communication. You know, is it a lack of education for those in harder sciences? I don't know. Again, I don't know. I didn't go through those programs. That was just my experience with my classmates.
I think in the hard sciences, science communicate, like if you can, you do research, and if you can't, you do communication. That's been the attitude, which is a terrible attitude,
Toxic.
completely upside down. It is a little better. It depends on this. Like a lot of astronomers, like astronomy professors, astronomy is a science where people are kind of like enthusiastic and they want to share, right? So I think a lot of my professors were a little different, but I've seen it in other sciences where it's like, oh, you're a science communicator. Like if you were any good at this, you'd be doing the research and, you know, you'd be a professor somewhere. And I think even the universities kind of have that, like, well, you should have like embedded science communicators in every department. If okay, maybe it's not a full-time job, but you should have some professor somewhere who like has a real passion for that communication, who can understand what's going on in the department and turn that into useful, you know, semi-technical, like not dumb it down all the way, but can kind of make it understandable and digestible. And that's just been, in addition to everything else that I completely agree with all the things you said. I think that that sort of looking down on science communicators is a huge problem as well.
I can't tell you how many times I've been called a failed scientist because this is what Lead and I are chasing to be, like what we're passionate about. I've been to conference, like I won like this big, like the fruit fly thesis of the year for graduate students across like North America back in 2020. All right, I got the little plaque over there. I still go to those conferences and I get the comments, you used to be somebody. What happened? Right? And it's because it's like, you're a communicator? Like, that's the lowest of the low, man. And it's like, then you start talking about like what you do. The fact that we have people in our chat that have never been to college, never even graduated high school, and now know what green fluorescence protein is and how to use lasers to activate it. You telling me that's not making a bigger difference than your nonsensical paper that no one's going to read? But that's the, at least in biology. I don't know how it is in geology or paleontology. I mean, Danny always makes it seem rosy because he has guests on, right? You in the field, right? You're talking to people. People seem excited about that communication. But at least in biology, it's really, really hard to get. And it's not even just like old people. It's kind of just like this, if you're in the system, that's what you end up adopting kind of mindset.
Well, and I can speak, so as a professor, which if you're in chat and you didn't know what a professor's job is, 40% of my job is to do research. 40% of my job is to teach. 20% of my job is to do service, which includes things like this, right? Science communication, going to elementary schools, but that also includes things like serving on a master's student's, thesis committee, or being on a committee to try to do some course development, whatever the heck. And the powers that be higher up discourage us. They don't want us to do science communication. And this is something that's come from the system, the way that Balint is unfortunately negatively viewed, which is completely the opposite way that it should be. Whenever I review papers, I can't tell you how many times that I've seen an author, or I've read an author, or just, writing, and I'm just like, man, I'm an expert on at least, this little part of this paper or in this field, and I don't understand what you're saying. So you should rewrite this because the onus is on you. Like, you're the one writing this. You need to make sure that everybody is able to understand this. And I'm really hoping that as we grow and as time goes on, that the older generations will kind of, hopefully things get more modernized and communication is valued more. as we become more often the people in charge and in those higher up positions. I really hope so, because what's happened, the way that you were treated, Belinda, is just rubbish. It's absolutely uncalled for.
So, fun story. I don't know if anyone in chat here has heard about like big schools, right? Where it's like you hear the school's name, you're like, man, it must be a good place, right? You hear, I don't know, maybe Harvard is a little bit tainted now, right? But you hear Harvard or you hear Ivy League, right? It's supposed to be this delicious place that you really want to go to. So Lita and I went to Dartmouth and we're like, man, that's a delicious place to go to. And they pitched it as, you get to present your work once a year to the entire incoming class, and you're going to make it accessible, and you're going to learn how to present your work. I'm like, my God, that sounds amazing. And then they're like, and you as a first year have to go to every one of these talks. If you don't go, that's a failing grade. You got to repeat it. Okay, so you get to learn, right? You practiced on all this great jazz. When it started, Lena and I were sitting there like, none of this makes sense. What are they talking about? And then it was our turn to go with these yearly presentations after the first year, and the professor's like, just treat it as a data dump, okay? Like, I don't need this whole background stuff. Just give me what updates you've done, and then we don't have to meet afterwards, and that's, it'll be easier on everybody. So, right, even the pitched mindset of we're gonna give you this training opportunity, the professor's like, guys, I don't have time for this. I can't meet another hour with you. Just throw them the updates and we'll move on. So that's why, like, it was in biology, y'all. Like, I was getting a degree in it, and I was like, I have no idea what organism you're working on, man. Is this a computer or a bug? And it turns out, like, it was a legitimate question sometimes to ask because they wouldn't tell you what they are working on.
It's insane to me because it's so different from what my experience as an engineering grad student was, especially in the civil engineering department, because civil engineering, for those who don't know, is kind of broken into two major disciplines. You've got structural engineers and you've got environmental engineers. Environmental engineers are doing water resources, things like that. Structural engineers are obviously doing structures. You also have traffic engineers, but those are our, you didn't make it, you become a traffic engineer, because they can't do anything. Have you ever seen a traffic engineer who actually did it right? I don't know. But anyways, I'm just kidding, of course. But we used to have to do brown bag lunches for the whole presentations for the whole department once a semester. And you had environmental engineering professors as well as structural engineering professors in those. And the environmental engineers had no idea what was going on in structures. And the structural engineers had no idea what was going on the environmental side. And so you had to give that presentation to that whole audience knowing that half of those people had little to no experience in that particular discipline. And if you weren't clear, I remember giving one very technical structural engineering presentation, and the environmental engineering professors just gave it to me. They were not happy at all. They were like, you need to be able to communicate this in such a way that we can understand this, and you failed on that. And so there is so much of an emphasis, especially in civil engineering, to communicate these things. And it's just it shocks me that there isn't that kind of feeling in the hard sciences. And
right, like there aren't the incentives there, right?
Exactly.
So it's like
exactly.
Yeah, and because that's the impression that I get. I'm no longer really in academia. I'm not immersed in that anymore, and I feel honestly really lucky in a lot of ways that I don't have to deal with that as much. But from a lot of my colleagues, my friends and co-authors, they talk about how their academic departments, the leaders there, talk a big game about outreach, about service, as Volcano Doc was saying, and then there's zero incentive provided to anybody to actually do that. In fact, you get penalized for actually going out of your way to do public outreach, to go speak at schools, to do like a pub science night or something like that. People ask you, well, why aren't you writing more grant proposals? Why aren't you, going to more committee meetings? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you pulling in more grants? And at some point, you have to actually provide a reason for people to do that, because it's great to say that we value this kind of thing, but you got to show it. You got to back it up with real incentives.
And by the
I
way, I
had
was
a-
completely joking about the traffic engineers. They have the most thankless, difficult job
Yeah.
ever, and I give them
Yep.
huge amounts of respect. I was completely tongue in cheek with that comment. so.
Traffic engineers have all unfollowed. It's too late.
Uh, I had just to piggyback off what you're saying, Daniel, like the expectations, right, of what you're supposed to do.
Uh-huh.
Like when Lita and I were in doing our postdocs, we both had these really prestigious grants. Like these are national foundation money grants that they give out 10 individuals a year in the
Uh-huh.
United States, right? Lita had one, I had one. Mine had a stipulation of you had to do outreach. So yearly, you write an update, and there's a section. What is your outreach? So I
Yep.
was doing. You inspired us to start doing Twitch, right? So I put that in there. We were getting middle schoolers, high schoolers coming to the lab to see it hands-on. We were doing virtual school visits as well as then going to the schools themselves. And I wrote that in because, like, right, that's an
Yeah.
important bit of service. The professor
Mhm.
goes, because she doesn't write the progress report like she's supposed to. She has the student write it and then she just signs it. But you know, she's reading it and she's like, I was really troubled by this section here. Did you really do all this stuff? And I was like, yeah, isn't that cool? And she goes, you got to stop this. You should be working. She's like, if you continue this, she's like, I'm going to blacklist you. Like, you can't be doing this. We just need to write that you did something. They don't actually care about this. And then I maybe got blacklisted by not being employed there anymore because I continued to do it.
I
But
mean,
that-
so often
You know.
it's like they expect you to just tick a box and then you're done without actually doing anything. When I was presenting at the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology meeting last month in the UK, my presentation was about my Twitch outreach and everything. And I had a colleague come up to me, somebody I'd never met before. They're from Portugal. English is not their first language, and they were asking me about the concept of outreach. So I was telling them about Twitch and how this works, how we're getting more people interested in science and showing how we actually do our work and stuff. And they go, "Oh, I thought outreach meant a website." Like, what? Because that was apparently how outreach was defined at their institution, was you make a web page about your findings and then you put it online and then you wipe your hands and you go, "Oh, the public knows about this now." It's like you've just checked the box without really actually doing any work, talking to anybody, answering questions, inspiring anyone. None of that, you know? And I feel like that's the way a lot of different academic institutions treat this. It's just a box that you tick and then you don't think about it again, you know?
I do think
Yeah.
we should probably point out that there are a number of amazing scientists who do incredible science and outreach. You know,
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
this is not everywhere all the time, but it's definitely more of a problem than you would want it to be, right? Like, and especially I think now the climate scientists are kind of leading the way in the outreach stuff. You know, they're really getting behind it because they realize that we're obviously, you know, we're sort of advocating for the survival of the species, so it has a little
Pretty
more,
important.
yeah, right. So yeah, but I mean, and I like my professor at Illinois was very good at the outreach. He had a whole cosmology at home thing that he started that was like SETI at home, but you could do cosmology on your computer. Like he was really into it. So there's definitely professors out there that like it, but I think that they kind of do it in spite of, or in addition to all of their other obligations. It's not supported necessarily, right, by the institution or by their bosses or the chair of the department. Anyway, just trying to give us a little hope that, and of course, we're
Oh,
all out here
negative,
doing
yeah.
it as well. I don't mind. I
Yeah.
don't care. People can say that I'm a failed scientist. That's fine.
I will say that like I went so I had to back out this year, but last year, so about a year ago, I presented on we all had that poster at AGU that I presented. It had
Yeah.
phenomenal reception, guys. Like grad students,
awesome.
other scientists are coming up and are just blown away at what you're all doing. Like it really got great reception. So don't think that it's all for naught. You know, even among
Yeah.
other scientists, they're coming up and we're inspiring other people to stream. There's new science streamers on here every day. There's new people doing live streams about science all the time on different platforms.
That is
great.
one thing that I was struck by too when I was at SVP this year, is that how many people were excited about the idea of doing paleontological outreach in a new way. Like, I think as scientists, most of us are driven by passion. That's why we're doing this. We didn't get into this field to get rich or anything like that. We do it because we love it and we want to share it with other people. We get excited about it. And I think if different academic institutions provided more of an incentive for people to do outreach, a lot more scientists would very willingly do that. You know, like if I were independently wealthy, I'd still be doing what I'm doing right now on Twitch, and still be doing science and everything. I think a lot of us are forced into this overly competitive, like, oh, you have to constantly write grant proposals and do this and do that. We're forced into that. It's not what we want to do, and it's not the fault of any particular scientist, really. It's just that's the system we're operating under. Maybe I'm naive to think that, but that's what I want to believe, is that more of us want to do this kind of outreach.
I feel like you could maybe make the case that, like we were talking about before, where like $1 into NASA makes however many dollars in the economy. Maybe you can make a case to these university administrators that $1 spent on outreach actually brings in $5 in grant money, or $5 in public support. It's very hard to quantify, right?
Well,
but,
no, because
like, you get
the
all this
grant
additional...
proposals bring in overhead that pays the admins and the dean. Everybody makes money off of the grants that we get, right? There's indirect costs.
But if you can't even get the grants because you're not doing the outreach and the public isn't supporting, right? Like now we're in a situation where NSF doesn't even have money. Like half the people, you might get a grant, you might not. I think this is more like of a fundamental issue, right? Where you are trying to generate interest in science and passion for science in the public, that then when they see NSF has been cut or NASA's budget's getting slashed or this, they're outraged and they're like on our side and they're like lobbying their
I'm not
politicians
disagreeing with
and all
you.
that kind of-
I'm not
No,
disagreeing
I'm
with
just
you
saying,
at all.
and I don't know how you make that a case to like a university administrator as well, but there has to be a crack there somewhere that we
Alumni with money have to make the case. That's who has the power in the university systems, are alumni with the money.
Broke alumni don't count, I suppose.
No, sadly.
I can't remember the number of times I've gotten a letter from Montana State University saying, "Hey, can we have $25?" And I go, "No, can I have $25?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But so that's an interesting point, Volcano Doc. Alumni with money. Do you feel like it seems like so often the people who have power and money are not the people who are interested in basic science? How do we go about changing that? Like, how do we solve that problem?
You want to live longer with your nice money? It'd be a shame if you couldn't do that. I can help. I mean, but at the end of the day,
I think
right?
you might want to we might need to rephrase it. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, no.
What are
At
you
the end of the day, why do we want to study ants from the rich person's perspective? Is it because you care about how the world works? No, it's because ant queens live 30 years and the workers live 2. Why do they live different timelines? Because there is genetic underlying that allows them to age slower and live longer. So if you want to live longer, you will fund this research. Right? That's how you get that. And unfortunately, it's like, again, a pocketbook argument that you have to make. And that's actually how we spun our grants, right? It was literally, do you want to see grandma make it? Fund the ant research. And that's what got politicians interested. It was not the curiosity driven, let's learn about how the world works. It was, here is this immediate application to me. And that's the sad part. Like, I would love to y'all's thought on how we can change that. Like, where it's not, it could just be back to the beauty. Like, there were papers in the 70s funded where it was this, they're my science heroes. They're called the Ritskys. There's this husband and wife team. They share a lab and they're doing microsurgeries on fruit fly larvae of different species. And they are taking out tissue from one larva and putting it into another larva, and just seeing like what the transplant reaction is. And they're figuring out the basis of immune rejection in tissues. And it's just, they were just playing. At the end of the, like they had some funding to do it, and that was that. And that would be like what I would love for us to get back to, where it doesn't have to be that immediate connection of how this is going to help me. But I think when we pitched, so the fellowships that Lita and I had were private foundations. That was the pitch. Like, I was studying ants, but I was giving them cancer, right? And it was like, why are you giving the bug cancer? It was to see what social setting has effect-wise on disease progression, which is clinically important to people, right? But it was very, very different um, than just saying like, well, it would be cool to figure out, you know, what the ant normally gets sick from and seeing how the social setting affects that disease state. I know it's a very cynical take, but at the end of the day, it comes
I
to
think
money.
in reality, I think it's not a cynical take. I think it's a very realistic take. I think especially when you're in a very resource my opinion, artificially resource constrained world where you've got those with the power and the funding and those without, you need to apply to those with the power and funding, and it sucks. But that doesn't mean you have to lose your curiosity. That doesn't mean you can't educate others who would go into the field about that curiosity. But when it comes to chasing the funding dollars to do the work, it sucks, but it's the reality right now. And I don't see that being something that's going to be changing anytime soon. You know, I think you'd have to have some major structural changes in society happen, and I don't see those as
favorite
happening.
example, like just off that point, finite, just to illustrate that it's not just like one administration's fault, which is usually what people run to. Is if you look at the funding, the NIH funding had not increased for 25 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But inflation has.
Yep.
So the amount of money that an R01, which is the big NIH grant that can get you 25 years ago, you get it now. It's like getting an NIH grant 25 or NSF grant 25 years ago. It's like, well, I guess I can hire 2 students and do an experiment. So it's like Finite said, it's a societal issue. Like it's a deep rooted thing. It's not just a every 4-year secular one. It's a big thing to change. That's not going to be easy.
No. No, and
I
I think we have to.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. You
I was gonna say I think it's about finding those little handholds where you can get some of that, and then trying to slowly expand from there. Which it's infuriating. It takes so long and it takes so much effort, and it might not even be something we fully see in our lifetimes. But it's a future thing where it takes a lot to get there, and so like. I think then the focus on getting younger people to be interested in that joy of discovery to bring people into the field that's the place where we have some leverage in that. And that means we have to keep doing the crappy stuff we're still doing, but we can also, these don't have to be mutually exclusive. They can be 2 different types of outreach. And yeah.
I don't know. I'm getting worked up thinking about this, and I feel like we all kind of are. I like to think that we're, in some small way, making a difference here, though, on this platform. Talking to people about science, getting people excited about these ideas. I wonder if everybody here might have a story to share about what they've done. One way that their impact has become apparent to them, maybe over the past year or so.
Oh, I've got a good one. This wasn't over the past
Please.
year, but when I started, my idea for starting live coding on stream was I wanted to flex. I was no longer in academia, but I love to teach, and I wanted to flex those teaching muscles and keep sharp on that because, again, communication teaching is hugely, hugely important in the world. And just because I'm not actively doing it as a profession doesn't mean it's not good to strengthen those skills. And so a lot of my early streams especially were introduction to programming, and I had people coming in, and there was this one individual who came in and was in my stream every day for like 6 months, and then they just disappeared for like 2 years. Didn't see him at all, and I'm like, oh, I guess I must have said something. Maybe he was a traffic engineer, you know. I must have said the wrong thing. 2 years later, they show back up in my stream and they said, I just wanted to tell you, one day I was going through just looking for video game streams. I saw your stream and came in, and it was fascinating. And I was in a profession absolutely miserable, doing stuff I didn't want to do. I just got done with a 2-year academic program, and I just landed my first development job.
Holy cow.
And I was literally like, who's cutting onions in here? So this was like a very specific, I impacted this person. I
Right.
literally, because I had, frankly, coding on stream is vulnerable, right? Because you're constantly making mistakes, you're putting yourself out there. It's a
Yeah.
part of the whole process. And so by putting myself out there, that showed someone something that they didn't know they'd love to do, and now they're doing what they love to do. And that one thing has made my 5 years of streaming absolutely worth it, regardless of anything else.
That's awesome.
Well, I can tell you that I've been slacking, really slacking. Just got overwhelmed with research, but I have been crunching numbers. I am still working behind the scenes. Research is slow, you guys all know. I can tell you that there are statistical differences. That we are making a statistically significant difference.
That's good to know. That's good to know. I think it
That's
can be difficult.
really
right? You
exciting. Shoot.
feel
Yeah.
like you're sort of streaming into the void sometimes, and you're just working away, and you're just like prepping stream, and you're working, and you're making emotes, and you're a sound engineer, and you're video, and you're just doing all this stuff, and you're totally overwhelmed, and it just doesn't always feel as though you're having the impact that you want. And then occasionally someone in chat, or I'll get like a DM or something like, "Hey, I really appreciate what you're doing," and that makes a big difference. And then like I was at TwitchCon this year, and I was on the NASA panel last year. And I don't really think, I kind of do it and I really enjoy it and I have a good time, but I don't really think it has that much of an impact. And then a couple of people this year came up to like, "Oh, when you were on the NASA panel last year, I really enjoyed that. I really got a lot out of that." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, it was actually." And like they remembered. Just little things I think can make a big difference. And sometimes, and things like this as well, where you just sit around and like generally complain about like stuff, but kind of encourage each other and just be like, "Hey, I'm here, I'm here, you're here, we're all here, like we're all doing the same thing, and we are making a difference, even though it's maybe maybe every stream is just a tiny difference, but over the course of a year or a few years, it all adds up." I think
I think it does. I don't know. We've got hundreds of people watching right now. Like this is, and like I always say, the internet is a really big place. Like there's so many other things that people could be watching or doing or saying, and
even on
people
Twitch
are here in the chat, and that really means something, Yeah, it was earlier this year. When I was out in the field doing a stream, got a message in the chat that I was really surprised by, and it was this guy who had a very kind of aggressive sounding username, and he'd left some comments earlier in the summer that you could read as kind of acerbic or challenging, and he just chimed in to say, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that these conspiracy theory YouTube videos that I'd been watching almost had me convinced that dinosaurs weren't real. But I've been watching your streams and I realize this is legit. So thank you for that." And that was
nice.
It made a big difference for me because there's so much just awful dog water content out there, so much anti-science. Just
It's fantastic.
yeah,
That's huge.
and so I like to think that if there was one person who actually chimed in to say that, there might be 10, 20, 30 people
Exactly.
who were there who were, quiet about it. And that tells me that I'm actually making a difference, and that means a lot to me. Like that's the whole point of outreach is not preaching to the choir. We're trying to reach new audiences. It's outreach. So yeah, that felt part and parcel of that kind of outreach. Made me really proud.
Sorry.
I'm sure you got something, Belinda.
I guess for further piggybacking on that, like as Danny said, we want to make this accessible to everyone. We don't want to convince people who already like science, right? It's a great place to hang out, but you already like science. We had this gentleman, very respectful, right? Hanging out in the community, asking questions. a few months after he'd been here, Lita and I are on the stream. We're talking something, and he asks a question, and then he goes, I just want to say thank you. I believe that the Earth is 5,000 years old, right? That's you're like, wait, where is this gonna go, right? Because that's either gonna go one of two ways. It's gonna be like, I hate y'all or I like y'all. And he goes, y'all have never made me feel unwelcome. You have never made me feel like I have to believe what you are saying. And I can ask questions and learn. And while I might not agree with it, I feel like this is a safe space for me to ask the questions and get that perspective. And so, which is great. Like, even if they don't believe of whatever the geological Earth of the age is or how evolution works, they were open to learning about it and just discussing it, which is so much more than any kind of issue in the world that we have today, right? It's like, if you disagree, you're terrible. But it was like this very respectful conversation. And we've had plenty of those kind of folks where it's like, I've never heard about this thing, and now I know about this thing. Or one of our community members, he had his daughter ask a question because through his account, right? Because she's under the age of 13, so we never violate TOS here. Good company men, and Danny and I are ambassadors. We can't be encouraging under 13 to come on here. But his daughter asked a question about the ethics of zoos and what are the bioethics. And we went off on a 2-hour discussion on this. And she wrote up a paper. We didn't give any answers. It was just different perspectives. And she got top marks. And it's all learned through a stream and coming up with the unique scientific perspectives. And it was so you get both sides of things, right? That folks who haven't been exposed to this before, they now gain more of a love for it, or ones that are just wanting to learn. And for us, Nerduino mentioned TwitchCon. Danny, we got to do a DNA extraction workshop at TwitchCon at a video game convention. That was the cherry on top, right? Of folks came out to extract DNA.
Oh yeah,
at a video game
convention. That's pretty awesome.
That was the best part of TwitchCon.
No, especially the strawberries. Right?
Yeah, they're tasty.
But it's like y'all are saying, sometimes it's hard to know what kind of impact you're making unless the audience actually tells you. And sometimes there's this barrier, right? Why they don't want to know that they made a difference in my life. They already know. And it's but hearing it, and also what works, right? We're learning too here. None of us are experts in science communication. We have very different styles, we have very different approaches. Some people are going to get caught by us and others aren't. But when y'all are giving us feedback this thing worked, or this thing I really don't get, that is the biggest thing y'all can give us, because then we can do it better.
Right.
Yeah,
well said.
Yeah, feedback is important. I think I would just say that. I would say that to chat. If you're thinking, oh, I should reach out and tell them I appreciate them, then do it, because streamers,
do it.
We love
we're a lot of the time we're I don't really know if I don't really know what's going on. You're kind of working in an information vacuum, right? You have the viewer numbers. I try not to look at those while I'm live, but that can be completely misleading. And if that's the only way that you're judging your impact, I don't think that's healthy.
It's the verbal, when we ask questions what do y'all think about this experiment, even saying well, it's bupkis, right? Or saying I think it's great, well, why do you think it's great? And then that back and forth, that's what I think we're all trying to impart on folks, is it's not the facts you can Google, right? It's how to dissect the facts and know that they are the facts to be dissecting. Especially Finite was mentioning the AI driven world. How can we be critical enough in what we think and what we see that we're not going to be bamboozled by AI or conspiracy theories? Because even in our field, there was 2 years ago this popular press release, ants smell cancer. Boy howdy, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Turns out they were just smelling the off gas of a dish, right? But that doesn't sell. And so and you don't get that if you just read the popular press release. You had to go into the methods of the paper. So knowing how to dissect these things, not what to think, but how to do that reasoning, is the most important thing that we can impart on anyone.
Yeah, and that interactivity is the whole point with Twitch, right? We could make YouTube videos that just impart the information, but that's not the same. It doesn't,
Right.
It's that back and forth that makes it interesting.
And I think it's so important to build those bridges with viewers as well. Like you were saying, Nerduino, a pre-edited video, it's out there, you're done with it, and it just sits there. And that could be really impactful for certain people. but having that kind of openness and interactivity with people, being able to chat with them in real time, it becomes a conversation rather than a lecture. And I think that's one of the things that makes Twitch so incredibly cool, and why I much prefer doing this kind of outreach over doing pre-edited videos. And I feel like that's something that I think a lot of our colleagues could learn from in the sciences, and a lot of those administrators could learn from that too. That interactivity is so important, because there's that old phrase it sounds corny, but I think it has merit. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Like, we as human beings are very emotional creatures, and our whole lives are built on relationships. And when you can build some kind of a sometimes parasocial relationship with people in the chat, you know, that's a way that you can actually teach them things. You can actually inspire them to learn on their own and be curious about the world and support science. It's that sort of interactivity is what Twitch allows for, and that's, I don't know, makes me really grateful to be here and be streaming with all of you right now. So I appreciate this.
Say, I never looked at mustard containers again the same way because of you, Danny. Right, and but that's right. Not only you
That's the
teaching
real
us,
takeaway.
no, but your passion, right? Like you,
Yeah.
even like the science behind it, but just like caring about these little things that, right, might seem superfluous, but because they're important to you, because you reference them, it's like, again, you're imparting the role of a mentor and an educator, but also someone to look up to because you're passionate about this. It's like, I can get behind that too. And so, you know, the mustard container is a silly example, but people now will learn about that and know about that. And it's like, that's a starting point to a conversation about how the plesiosaur is not a dinosaur and to wreck childhoods. You know, that's not a personal story for me and Danny.
That's
But
what
if
we're
it
trying
were,
to do.
but no, I think I think it's really, really well said. Yeah.
I appreciate that, Bullet. Thank you. Yeah. People in the chat are asking, what's the mustard? So in paleontology, the crews that I've worked on, we sometimes like to use mustard bottles to put our fossil glue in. That's all it is. There's a particular kind of mustard bottle with the right kind of cap. It doesn't get dissolved by the glue. Yeah. Anyway.
Should we take a break from the ins and outs of science and do some Secret Santa stuff?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think I've got. So who has anybody not had their Secret Santa thing delivered?
Yeah. So I'm
Oh, here we
guilty
go.
of this. I sent you a text about this, Nerdwina, but there was some
I
sort of
didn't
an address issue with finite
Oh, okay.
singularity, and
Okay.
I'm really sorry about that, but it should be delivered early this next week.
Okay. Okay.
I can tell you what it is. Just
When you're streaming, I'll come knock on your stream, and you can
Yeah.
let me in, and then we'll open it on your stream.
Oh, that's
that
cool.
actually sounds really good. I look forward to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So it's in minutes. It's in Okay. All right.
The delivery was canceled because they didn't recognize the address or something like that, and so I had to reorder it this morning. And
Yeah,
Amazon
no
issues.
worries, no worries.
But-
The elves, they screw things up sometimes. So
I
it's
hope you
not
enjoy.
your-
Yeah.
I'm sure I will. I'm excited.
All right. Who's up then? Let's start with Volcano Doc. We'll start at the opposite end.
Okay, as in giving or receiving?
Receive. You just open
Oh,
whatever
okay.
you got. Scan it. Yeah.
It can never be easy. It can never be easy, Nerdwino. You have to be very explicit with your instructions.
I'm hoping hopefully the earrings don't create a scene. this year.
No, I wore different ones this year. They're much
Ah,
shorter.
I see.
I'm also on the opposite side of the room, so I don't have gravity, helping to roll the chair.
Wait, gravity is different on one side of your room from the other?
Well, when the
You had to
house
go- I
is
was just
built
gonna
and
let that go.
tilted, when the house is tilted, gravity tends to
Got it. Okay.
make your chair roll in a certain direction.
I was like, there's geology rules, but I don't know if I've heard of that one.
So I'm very excited. I don't know what this is. Personalized gamer tag LED sign. Oh, cool. Oh, super sick. I want to see it. Oh, cool.
Oh.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
that's
Very
so
cool. That's in like the Twitch
awesome.
font.
Oh my goodness. How does this work? is gonna take forever. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a big old boomer. My students can't stand it. Oh, very cool. So it comes with a little stand. I need to know who gave this to me. Who is my secret Santa? It has to. I'm gonna
You're
guess.
supposed to guess.
I'm gonna guess it's Balint. This seems like a very science streams gift. No?
It is on brand, but not us.
Oh. Okay. I am.
Would you believe that I randomly got you again this year? I haven't got you.
No, I was
Yeah.
going to say your name, but I figured it couldn't be possible.
Yeah, it was me.
Oh, fun! Thank you
Very
so
cool.
much. This is so
I
cool.
think the paper is to be removed on the
yeah.
back.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's gonna be a frustrating hot minute. Okay, that's not happening right now though. No, we don't want to have time for this. Is family friendly stream. Thank you so much, Nerdwino.
Yeah, you're
This
welcome.
is fantastic.
I saw them and thought they looked cool. So
I do. I think it's awesome, and I don't have any sort of like streamer thingies, so I'll have to figure out where to put it so that you can see it in the background.
Yeah. You're welcome. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. All right. Who's up? Danny.
Yeah, let me go. It's on the other side of my office. Let me grab it real quick.
Cool. It does
Here we
like different
go.
colors and stuff.
Yeah. So
Oh, it does-
again, I almost opened this up just out of excitement when there was a box that appeared on my porch. Really glad I didn't. But we've got this lovely multicolored gift bag here,
Oh.
and then the tag on it. Pretty neat. Wow. Well, shoot, this is if I'm trying to guess who got this for me. Would it be the software engineer?
It would.
Good guess.
All right, thank you very much. I'm gonna have a lot of fun putting this together.
Yeah, I thought
That
it might be
is
something fun
really
that you
good.
could do on stream too, because I don't know, I do silly
Yeah.
puzzle type things on stream, so
Appreciate that. Yeah.
might be something
Well,
fun
thank
for
you
that.
so much.
Yeah, you're
Finance Theater.
welcome, you're
Really-
welcome.
really
Enjoy.
appreciate that. Yeah.
So you guys got
Excellent.
each other actually,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I guess means there's a triangle with the rest of us.
Huh.
Science, you're up, I guess.
So I've cheated because there's a return address on here with the person's name. But I wanted to show the lovely Volcano Doc. She wrote on one side of it, fragile contents. And this is how the box arrived.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Uh-oh.
There it is. I haven't opened it yet, but I actually just noticed. I'm like, good Lord, the Postal Service. Fun story, the Postal Service lost our $5,000 PC the other day that we won.
Oh,
They delivered
boy.
they delivered it to the wrong address.
Is
ended
that
up
going to be
being
resolved?
Yeah, it has
Ugh.
been resolved. We have a new computer,
Oof.
but good Lord. Good
Yeah,
Lord, that was a hot moment of scary.
Mm.
At least you had a picture of where it had very nicely been delivered to.
Yeah, it wasn't my house. It was like delivered. I opened the front door and it was not there. I'm like, not our home, man. So this is from Volcano Doc. I know she said this is for both myself and Lita. Lita is putting Munchers to bed. Y'all may have seen her. She popped in to give me a good night hug. Got here. Kind of hope it's a.
Notice the wrapping paper. Hang on. My daughter picked this out. Volcano Spawn picked out the wrapping paper.
See, I should have shown Munchie.
Nice.
Sours.
Munchkin, for those who don't know,
Sure.
is near 3, and she's captivated by Danny's streams because they're dinosaurs. to the point where Danny says a word like brachiosaur or raptor. She goes, "Oh," and she points at the screen and she says the dino's name.
Nice.
Yeah, that is mostly her Christmas items. Is dinosaur stuff.
I can relate.
There's Danny, you'd enjoy this. Her favorite show is called Gigantosaurus. It's
Yeah.
about young little dinosaurs. There's a big dinosaur there, and there's one episode they have a debate. The Dilophosaurus is arguing with the Archaeopteryx, and the Dilophosaurus is like, "What dino even have feathers, you loser?" And the other one's like, "Well, I mean, did you even have is the frill that you have even fake?" Or it's like because the character has the frill, but they're making the
Oh,
argument.
really? Yeah, they did in real life. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which made me. I was like, "Oh,
I might
Danny,
need to
we
watch
like
this
this
show now. Yeah.
All right, we've got labeled boxes. All right, so this is from Volcano Doc, and it is Mary Koidon Don Culberstany or Oreodont, Oligocene era, Brule Formation, White River Badlands, Cluster County, South Dakota. Whoa! All right, well, we got our Microscopy Monday.
Yeah, they're Oreodontus. That one is.
Nice.
Lita has something separate.
Oh, check that out. It's the reason come back for
Whoa.
Microscopy Monday. Look at that. Whoa!
Nice.
Wow.
Amazing.
Can
That's
I,
pretty cool.
Volcano Doc, can I open Lita's or should I let her open it?
No, go. Well, it's up to her. I don't know. I think she'd be fine with it, but I don't. Also, I'm not her.
Tell her. No one tell her. This never happened. There's no
Nobody knows.
mod.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Smikes is not texting.
It's okay, Smikes. It's sparkly.
Smikes is right now texting her. What are you doing? All right.
Text
this
it on.
is, Aura gastropod with druzy quartz from central India, 100 million years old.
Whoa.
Very cool. Wow.
She has to get something sparkly.
That is beautiful. Look at yeah, y'all probably it's getting
wow.
like,
That's cool.
but it's got a really beautiful sparkle on it. That is beautiful. Thank you, Volcano Doc.
Awesome.
I'm excited to throw these under the microscope.
Well, you guys are so welcome. Thank you for doing what you do and being amazing. Happy Christmas.
Thank you, y'all too. All right, I think Nerduino's up.
It's me. All right, I got. Let me see. Oh, hold on this way. I got this box from. It came from close by. Actually, it came from Anaheim. Let's see. Ah, I'm just gonna drop it. Hold on. Hope it wasn't fragile. I see. I think we have some great minds here thinking alike. It's in the plastic wrapping. It's check this out. Which way
Ooh.
around?
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay, this way, whichever way. I think my camera's back to front. There you go. That's super cool. I guess this must be from science. Thank you, science. Very so.
Merry
Volcano
Christmas.
Doc was right. It is
On brand.
And then and it's comes with a remote control, so I can change the color remotely. That's handy. That's really cool.
They didn't have one that was DSN bandwidth. Otherwise, I would have gone with that.
Like, can you imagine? That would have been amazing. Alright, let's put that in there. Oh, there we go. Let's put that in, and then maybe I can get it. Do you guys have the same like? I need a USB port to plug this into. Do you think I have one free on any of my computers? Let me see if this works. This might work. Hold on. I want to get it lit up with Shrine. All right, let me get it back here. Let me see if one of these has got enough power for the LEDs. Super cool. There we go. That is bright. Oh, but wait. We have the second one from India. Can you guys see it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's super cool. Thank you, Science Streams. That's amazing. Love
Very
it.
cool.
Very cool. The best.
And Danny, there
Yeah.
there might have been. Hold on, is this, oh, and sure, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Oh, maybe it'll work here. Is that the right one? I heard there might have been a. I'm sorry. There's supposed to be a pirate of me that comes out with a treasure chest and walks behind me, but none of my sources are working right now. I was gonna say
He's
there
on
might have been a
coffee break
porch.
right now, yeah.
There might have been a porch pirate, but apparently not. Apparently not.
No, it was an issue with the delivery service, so
Yep.
yeah, let's hope there's no porch pirates either. I don't know what they would do with your gift anyway, so yeah.
But
Yeah.
once it gets here, I will. I'll ping you and maybe I can knock and come on over to your stream
That'd be really nice.
and open it
yeah,
up. That'd
yeah.
be fun. That'd be fun.
Last I heard is hopefully Tuesday it'll be delivered.
Tuesday? Okay.
But
Sounds good.
again, I apologize that it didn't.
No worries.
work out.
We actually live kind of out in the country and no one can find our place.
That,
so
that was the thing too, is that like they didn't offer 1-day delivery. I'm like, can I pay extra and have it? Like, nope.
no,
Yeah,
we
no.
we have those issues that happen at our place. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you to get it. I hope you find it useful and fun.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna try and stop by with you guys and film that as well. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
No, but I want to just watch and see what happens. I don't think I can cope with another like trying to get multiple streams going for a week or two.
Well, I think this went pretty well, all things considered.
We have not had any stream crashes yet. Remember how many we
Yeah.
had last year
Yeah.
where they were
Yeah.
constantly crashing out?
No, the Discord is definitely
Season
super
5,
reliable.
right? We haven't had any crashes.
Are you on your new PC, Science? Or no, you're not yet.
Oh, sir, I have to clean out the office. This is like 5 years of cat hair in here.
Oh.
Okay, all right. Well, moving on. Anyone have anything? So, do you guys want to kind of wrap things up? I mean, we've been going for almost 2.5 hours. Maybe we should just go around and talk about anything you got coming up on stream or what you're up to for in the next year. If there's anything big.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Yeah, I've got dinner guests tonight, so I can't stay on for too much longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why don't we find out? Why don't you jump in? What's coming up?
Coming up, new OBS plugins being built. We hit 1.3 million downloads between all the plugins this year, which is just a number that doesn't even compute for me. It's just an insane number. So I have some fun new sort of visual effects plugins coming up that are kind of doing some stuff in OBS that OBS wasn't intended to do. So we'll see how those go. Been having a really good partnership with Elgato, developing an OBS plugin for them. We're in version 2.0 was just released for being able to trade and exchange scene collections for folks. And the big personal news is I just kind of got myself a desktop CNC machine. So I now have my ultimate maker's corner,
Ooh.
and there's a lot of new sort of electronics making projects that I'll be working on stream and creating YouTube videos. The big one right now, last year I made a wireless Stream Deck, a wireless Elgato Stream Deck, and building wireless Stream Deck 2.0, which will have wireless charging, so it'll just sit in a dock and you'll be able to pull it off. And the back of it is going to be made out of walnut, and the front will be like a black acrylic. So it should be a really kind of neat project that hopefully will spur some interest in some kind of fun maker and electronic stuff for folks to be getting into. Because programming's not enough, right?
I guess it's me. Yeah, I have a couple of things coming up. I'm giving a talk to the United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey on next Saturday, this time next week.
Wow.
They have a monthly talk during the winter. So yeah, they asked me if I would do that. So I'll be talking about that. I'll be streaming it live on my channel. I think they'll be on their channel, and then they also broadcast it using Teams. So that'll be super fun. I'll just be talking about
my journey in astronomy, living in Japan, working at NASA and all that stuff. And then I'm doing a collab the 29th. I'm going to be dropping in with Tiny Toxic Tofu. We're going to be talking. It's Newton's birthday, I guess, December the 29th. So we'll be talking about Newton a little bit, talking about space. And in just a few minutes, I am going to be, it's a super secret collab, but I can reveal that I'm going to be playing some video games with the lovely Science Streams right following this. So we're going to, I've stolen Mini Nerd's Switch. So I'm going to be a controller. I'm a mouse and keyboard gamer, so it should be pretty hilarious watching me try and play on controller. But yeah, and then in the coming year, there is rumors of a partner push at some point on Twitch. Depends on the numbers, but we're thinking about doing that. There's new requirements for partner or new benchmarks that you have to meet. So I think those might fit better with the way I like to stream, which is good. So we'll be doing that, and then yeah, TwitchCon. I'm sure I'll be at TwitchCon again next year. And, it's just down the street. So, and I'm looking forward to some collabs. We should definitely. I feel like we should try and dust this collab off more frequently than once a year. Maybe we'll look.
I agree. Yeah.
A mid-year review as well. So, yeah. And I think that's it. Oh, and then on a personal note, I just want to shout out to Dr. Nerd. So, as some of you know, my wife's a veterinarian, and she has her own hospital, and her hospital was just named one of the top 500 hospitals in the U.S. by U.S. News. So.
Very nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's huge. And there was no sort of input from us. Many of these news things, it's just like a pay-to-play type of deal where you pay for the advertising and they put you in. But this was a completely based on customer reviews and a bunch of other metrics. So yeah, she did amazing.
That's amazing.
Congrats.
Very cool.
Science, you're up.
Cool.
I think most importantly for those, because we have the shared chat going, if y'all are not following all these content creators, drop them a follow. Volcano Doc, Nerduino, and Finite all should already have that purple check mark by their name, but they don't yet because, the worlds are kind of unfair. So let's help all three of them get to partner, even if Finite didn't mention partner push. I would love to see more educators with that check mark next to your name because it brings more credibility to the platform when you've got experts in the field sharing knowledge and being so wonderful as these people are. Like Finite, that story, that guy who disappeared for 2 years, I near got the weepies of that.
It was intense. It was very intense.
You have your partner essay written. Just write that. Like, guy, please support these amazing content creators. Like, it's an absolute honor to share the stage with them, and like we wouldn't be able to be here doing what we're doing without y'all being here further legitimizing the platform. For us, we've got the next big things are continuing to bring on other scientists in the field of biology that we aren't experts in to interview, to bring y'all closer than ever to the science. We've got our Women in STEM month, year number 2, coming up in March. You've got someone on this panel here who I'll be reaching out to soon because she was very busy last year, so maybe she'll be on round 2. But it's a way to highlight, again, women in science. Last year we had 14 interviews with incredible women, both content creators, not content creators, but all science and science communication advocates, which is an absolute joy to be able to have and to host. Further, we're doing more charity work next year. We're aiming to partner with World Wildlife for about a month and to bring on conservationists who work with species and species success stories. TwitchCon, hopefully, maybe even the EU one to further spread. We are currently doing this as our full-time gig, so trying to make that work out too. Immediate programming, tonight we're collabing with Nerduino. He let the cat out of the bag. The game is space versus biology. That'll be a thing. We actually tomorrow have a 16-hour celebration stream for hitting 16,000 followers on Twitch.
Wow.
So we're doing that, and we're also pushing for emote slots. So we're 38 sub points from a new emote slot and unlocking a special stream where Alita and I will do the Hot Ones challenge. And she won't eat any of it. I'll be eating it, but we'll be talking about the neuroscience of spicy food. So we've got some of those polls coming in as well. Yeah. Volcano Doc.
Oh man, I'm trying to just stay afloat, guys. Professor life is a lot. so in addition to doing science stuff, every time I submit a paper for publication, my reward is a Lego. So starting tomorrow, we're going to be doing a tiny volcano Lego, and because I
Nice.
have fat hands,
Nice.
requires tweezers, which I'm really good
Oh,
at
wow.
tweezers because I deal with tiny crystals. But other than that, I have taken on a 2-week online summer class, which means I'm getting back to basics, and I'll probably do a couple streams with just introductory earth and environmental science content, and then I take the VOD and I edit it, and that's the lecture my students get, which is what I did when I first started streaming. So if you guys can make it to those lectures, you are literally getting a university lecture here on Twitch. Which,
Very cool.
you know, yeah, it's not an opportunity that most people get for absolutely free. And so I'll be doing some of that. I have, like I said, I have a new research project that I'm working on. I have 2 new graduate students this year. So if they're okay with me doing a little bit of research on stream, I'll do some wherever I can. Writing, sciencing, and hopefully heading back to the field this summer. I'd love to be able to stream, but I don't have a live rig. But it'd be pretty cool to be able to live stream from the vent of a volcano.
Oh, I can help you with a live rig.
Do you want to come to the
Ping
vent
me.
of a volcano with me, Finite?
I would love to. I would
Okay.
do that in a heartbeat.
We're going in July.
Okay,
Great. It's done.
That's it.
okay,
Done.
ping me. We'll make it happen.
Okay.
Very cool.
But yeah, so I stream
Can I
on-
bring Mini Singularity with? He would love that. Or is
He-
it a little too intense?
Might be a little too intense.
Okay, okay.
It's bouldering on obsidian. We go through a pair of leather gloves every 2 days.
Oh, he would do that. He's almost 14, so
Oh, he'd be fine then.
yeah.
Yeah, he'd be fine.
Okay. Well, there we go. We made a plan.
There we go. All right.
Can't wait to see this. Holy cow, that's gonna be awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, so streaming on Sundays. Come check me out. Not as able to do it as often as I would like, but such is the real world.
Cool. I guess I'm last here. Yeah, so what's coming up in the next year? So I'm going to be continuing my collaboration with the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology. So we're going to continue to interview different paleontologists about their experiences in the field. Very excited about that. And I kind of announced this on my channel earlier too, but the next annual meeting of the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology, our big conference worldwide for paleontologists who study animals with bones, it's going to be in Cleveland this year, and it looks like I'm going to be live streaming it. So we're going to be setting that up, and I'm very excited about this. So that's going to be next November, like mid-November. So I'll be getting ready for that. And then, yeah, a little bit, well, sooner in time, going to be doing a lot of stuff with leatherback turtles, like we've been talking about. So on the 28th of December, I've got a meeting, a live interview with Scott Benson, who's a leatherback turtle researcher here on the Pacific Coast. So a live in-person interview that's going to be really cool. And then bunch of other stuff after that. I'm going to see if maybe we can do some on-the-ground leatherback turtle conservation and research. So there's a lot of things to figure out there, but I've got a lot of exciting leads, and it's going to be the year of the leatherback turtle. These incredibly cool animals. They go all the way back to the Cretaceous period. They're not this big. They could be 9 feet across from flipper tip to flipper tip. It's one of the world's largest reptiles. They're just superlative animals in every way. And so they're kind of on the brink of extinction. And so we're going to do whatever we can to help these critters, and really looking forward to that. So stay tuned.
That's awesome. Sounds amazing. Guys, well, chat, thanks for coming and watching us. Thanks for hanging out with us
Yeah.
and talking about science.
Before we sign off, where can folks find the streamers on this
Yeah.
community right here? What times can we expect y'all and daily content, just so folks know exactly where to find you? Maybe with Finite again, who did not mention his partner push, but I'll mention it again.
Yeah, I typically stream. I'm sort of a co-working streamer at the same time because I'm doing live coding and stuff. So I typically stream from like 9:30 in the morning till around lunchtime. and that would be Tuesday through Thursday. And we're typically working on like open source projects or the plugins or some of the Elgato work that can be shown on stream. So you get a chance to see kind of real world coding during the streams, and we have all sorts of fun effects and random and crazy stuff that we do on the stream to keep things a little bit entertaining. So yeah, would love to see you there. And if you've got an interest in programming, even if you don't know what's going on, we love to have all sorts of questions. I love to stop and explain what I'm doing for folks, not only for my viewers, but I find that narrating what I'm doing actually helps me quite a bit in getting code out, out of my fingers. So it's kind of a very beneficial win-win on both sides. So
Nice. I'm usually live Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 6 p.m. Pacific. Tuesdays is usually all space science. Thursdays we do some space science and some earth science and climate change stuff. A lot of the engineering behind like climate solutions, that kind of stuff, battery technology. And then Sundays is a grab bag. We have been playing quite a bit of Arc Raiders recently as well, so just throwing that in there. But and then if there's launches or special events, we'll have a special stream for those. But yeah, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 6 is the core schedule.
6 Pacific.
Pacific, PST, yep.
And then I'm on Sundays. I usually stream in the early afternoons, maybe around like 2 p.m. Central. I think that's what GMT -5 right now, or is it -6? Central Time in the U.S. Occasionally I do stream in the mornings, like later in the morning. So definitely the best way to know is to follow and keep touch for keep an eye out for the notification. Every Sunday.
Yeah. And Balint?
For us, it's daily at 9 p.m. Eastern, so 6 p.m. Pacific. Looking at stuff under the microscope on Mondays, including but not limited to these beautiful samples from Volcano Doc this coming Monday. Tinkering, model builds, experiments on Tuesdays, science art on Wednesdays, dissecting the science of video games on Thursdays, science news of the week on Fridays, grab bags on Saturdays, and then Sundays are usually IRL. However, it's freezing cold right now, and with the 2 small kids, it's a little bit harder. But when we get back to it, we also do like fossil dig sites here in Jersey. Very different kind of fossil digging than Danny's, which is kind of fun to compare and contrast because 2 different ecosystems, zoos, aquariums, labs, and beyond. Actually, the highlight of the year was doing a live stream from the Frozen Zoo Laboratory in San Diego, which is where they store the genetic information of critically endangered and already extinct animals. Awesome. And Professor Anduza.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, when I'm here in my office, so not during the field season, I usually stream from 1 p.m. to about 6 p.m. Pacific time. So I think that's GMT -8. And yeah, and then when I'm out in the field, which hopefully this year is going to be a lot of field work. It was 11 weeks last year. We'll see if we can beat that this year. But that'll be 7 days a week, around the same time. But it always varies with weather and logistical considerations and stuff. And hoping to do a lot more traveling this year too. So I might be streaming from other time zones. I might be going to Puerto Rico, might be going to the UK. There's a lot is still up in the air right now, but I'm very excited for some new opportunities coming up. So best way to know when I'm streaming is just follow and have the notifications on. And I'm on Blue Sky too. That's my only other social media that I really pay any attention to at all. So hop on there if you're on Blue Sky and find me. Yeah.
Nice.
And I think we all posted links, I believe, for folks to click on as well. I know Finites did. I saw Nerduino, Volcano Doc, and Claire just did for Danny as well for the Blue Sky.
Thanks to all you awesome people for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for setting this up. Yeah, this is great. Let's do it again sometime, you know?
Absolutely.
Before it's been a whole year again. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. We can aim like maybe like April. We'll shoot for something in April maybe.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Or maybe we all go climb a volcano and we just
we could do
live
that.
stream together from there.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Can you specify where the volcano is, or is it secret?
It's in Central Oregon. And it's
Okay, I
actually
can- I
quite
can get
easily accessible if you have a permit. which we have been
Ah.
properly permitted.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay.
All right.
Very cool. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, stick around if you want to see some gaming with me and Science. Stick around. I think we're just going to stay in this Discord, right? Probably the easiest way, and then we'll catch.
Yeah,
the
we'll
rest of the
resize the scene and bring on the game, but we're playing Marvel Cosmic Invasion, so it's space versus biology. That's why it was appropriate, right? The two, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Space versus biology.
Yeah.
Space is obviously going to win. All right, guys. Thanks
Okay.
again.
Yeah.
Thank
Have a good
you.
one. Happy
Fantastic.
holidays,
Happy
everyone.
holidays.
Yeah, happy
Yeah,
holidays.
happy holidays.
Bye.
Bye.
See you around, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.